Oh, all right, man. Oh, live. Crap. Cool. Right on, Daniel. You know what? Show's dedicated to you. There it is. This show is dedicated to Daniel Lawrence. So, thank you. Let me see what I'm typing there. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate. Oh man, cap lock. I'm sorry, dude. Anyways, let me kind of get busy here. You may or may not know what tonight's all about. Now, last night I had a live show, and it was Double Ants. He had called in, and he wanted to know what that thing was that was in BG's pants in the film of him walking across Monon High Bridge. So that was exactly. Hey, Anon, how you doing, man? Glad you're here, dude. So that was going to be my topic of discussion tonight. You know, like what exactly is that, and is it anything? James? You know what? I'm kind of in hope here that Alaska Blue arrives. Because, you know, I told her, you know, I'd be here tonight, and she got a hold of me last night. So anyway, there she is. All right, man. Thanks, Alaska Blue. Was just speaking of you, oddly enough. So tonight I will be starting. Oh yeah, this is my other. I don't know, man. I'm not even into Duck Dynasty. Hang on a second. Not even into Duck Dynasty, but I don't know, man. A friend, man, he bought a bunch of them, and he's all like, "Here, dude, man, look, man, I got all kinds of T-shirts. You can have them." All right. Usually wear a tie, but hey, whatever, man. I got facial hair, so. And I'll kill a squirrel, man, dude. Hey, I'll straight kill a squirrel. Wolf loves that, man. He eats it. He loves squirrel. So anyway, I'm going to be speaking about what this is. Now, hang on 1 second while I pull the picture up. Quick second, man. It's only a moment, if you don't mind. Oh, crap, man. So fast here. And let's go to number 5. And I'm actually going to blow that up a little bit more than necessary. And I hope y'all can see that. But I'm talking about this right here. Oh, crap. I ain't even got that on, do I? I'm sorry, man. My bad. Hang on a minute. And let me set this to like that. Or maybe, hang on. Tell me if that don't work well. Now, I'm talking about this right here. Now, what I did was I went through frame by frame by frame through the whole step and a half. Now, this is my thoughts on it because it does look like something there. And again, you know, put it in the chat box if you can't see this worth of crap. But it looks like right down through here, ending here at the knee, and then going back up here to the crotch area. It looks like a billy club. I mean, you know, a baton, so to speak. Now, I didn't know really what to make about that, but it kind of become my assumption here that, hang on, let me check the chat and make sure that this looks all right. Does that look okay? Can you guys see that clearly? Can everybody see that clearly, though? Does it need blowed up more? Okay, thank you. All right, then. Let's get back to this. Now, this is at a smaller scale. Let me blow that up a piece. That way I can kind of move it up and center it. Now, after going through that frame by frame, I started to see something, and I'm going to show this to you here. If we go to the next one, it still stands out. You can still see it. Now, look, it goes down to his knee. So we go to the next one. Now, it starts to lose its shape a little here. And into the next one, which really fuzzes out. Hang on. And then the next one. And then the next one. And then the next frame. But you see, it's really starting to lose its shape. But it always follows right along this angle of shadow. Now you can see where the shadow appears. Any place that there's shadow, it's very dark. Like right across these pants from this leg here, from this leg, walking over it. And it gets very dark. Now, this photo was already enlarged. And it was already very pixelated. Now, let me go to the next one here. See, because now it's really losing its shape. But again, you see how it curves here. Because it's curving with the shadow on his pants. And there, it's virtually gone. But again, the only place that you see it is right there on that shadow. So it's kind of my thought. Now, right there, it looks like it almost disappears. But again, if you look, where now it's up the middle of the leg, but it's right there where the shadow occurs at. You see? Pretty much gone. There, it doesn't even appear to be there so much. It just looks like shadow. And there, you can't really tell at all. And I think what it is this the pixelations of the shadow in comparison with the sunlight on his pants. And it's those pixelations between the two that give it a shape. Now, I can say the same thing for the brown item here. Let me kind of take that up a couple or two. See, now it starts to look flat. Now it kind of looks like a fanny pack, but now you see this here is gone. This here is no longer like a rod, but you can still see the outline of the shadow here where it's pixelated. Now we go to the next one, and again, you can't really see it, but you can see the shadow. Now keep your eye right here on the brown item, because in a minute it's going to take on a very flat, wait a minute. I did go that far, didn't I? Maybe I didn't, man. Maybe that was like the last one. Cool enough. Let me pull up the video. Now I see right there. Let me back that up just a touch. See, really nothing there on his leg. Now keep your eye on the brown item, because like right there, that brown item now looks flat. Before it looked like it was sticking out like it was a fanny pack, but now it looks flat. Now it looks like his hand's in the brown thing, which from what my understanding of this, you wouldn't have a shirt that came down over your pants that your hand would go into. But that's not exactly what I would picture like a holster doing, but I do believe that it is a holster. But I think that it's kind of laid out of proportion again by the pixels of the image. Now right here, if you look at his hair, it looks like hair. That looks like brown hair to me. And that's what I was telling people like right off the go. I said in this picture, and I think it gets a little bit more clear, but mind you, I'm on video here, so I got to be very. Now you can see where it's a hat, where it's starting to take shape up here. You know, you can see on the shadow. You can see a lot of, you know what, let me back that up a piece. Right there. Now that's the one that I think that they gave us. Again, it looks like he's got brown hair. It almost looks like not so much a part, but like he was balding right here a little bit. Looks like brown hair. Looks like his hands inside what now looks like a shirt of some kind. But there is a brown item here. And when I checked, because of these two right here, I do believe it to be a pistol holster. And because I looked at brown pistol holders for the SIG, the Glock, and the 22, but of course, a 22 caliber pistol can be at any, you know, if you see where I'm at, I mean, you could have a revolver, you could have them, you come in many shapes and sizes like that. So you can't really get like one determined holster, if you see my point. Now, the Glock and the SIG, when I looked at it, I found one with the SIG that looked pretty damn close. But again, it's like his face. You can't see his face. There is nothing here that you can tell who that is. But I say that because, look, man, if that was somebody that I knew, all right, and I knew how they were dressed that day, and I seen this, and I seen after, I mean, I'm saying now that we can see his gait, you know, when you see him walking, I could say, hey, that looks like, you know, so-and-so down there. He was dressed like that day. And again, I think that just because of his dress and the lack of not really being able to see him, exactly, because you can't really see his face. You know, you can't really see a lot of that's there on him. Just like the holster. I believe it to be a holster. Could be a fanny pack. It could be an undershirt for what I really know, because there is no way to tell. I mean, I'm using what I know of the case, what I believe may have occurred in the case is my evidence for what I believe it to be. You got two girls on the south side of the bridge. Now, if you got a guy coming across that bridge that they felt was threatening enough to turn that phone on video record, well, all they had to do was go down that hill, hit that private drive, and they could have been at the one girl's house within a couple of minutes if they felt that their life was in danger. I believe that they felt that he was threatening, and I'm not suggesting otherwise, but I think that they felt that he was going to do something like verbally. I don't think, I mean, they didn't understand the ramifications of what that guy was doing there. We do now, but that was the whole thing. That was I'm thinking of the right word, but, you know, for her to turn that phone on video record, that gave the public everything they needed, you know, as far as seeing the guy, as far as hearing his voice, and anything beyond that, we're not really privy to. And that's cool. That's fine, man. I mean, I don't need to know about the crime, you know, but dry throat, man, you know. So anyways, there they were. And I believe, like I said last night, I believe that when they crossed to the south side, he was already on the south side. And he was probably stationed right there in that little wood line where the train tracks had went, you know, on across on the other side of the bridge, heading toward Country Road 200. Now, being in those woods, that's where he was seen by the lady walking his dog. You know, when she was out walking her dog, she was walking up that trail and came across him. That's where she talked to him for a minute or two. So I think that that's where he was at. And I think that that's where he's stationed, probably with field glasses. Now, I say that for this reason. Let me pull this back up one more time. And share this. And let's share it like so. No. There we go. Okay. Now, if you look right here, and people had always said that that was a gun. But here's the thing. If it's a gun, and look at the shape of it. Look at the shape. I mean, if that right here was the handle, and it comes up, and this is the barrel, one, that is a big pistol that he's carrying in his coat where you can clearly see what it is. I've also said that he likely had alcohol with him, because the amount of time he was back there, he didn't want to lose his buzz, if you see where I'm at. But also, again, I am suggesting that it is Thomas Bruce that's in this photo. But if you look at that, does that, or could that not as well be field glasses? You see where I'm at? Because if he's on the south side of the bridge, he wants to see who's coming. He wants to see him at a distance. He wants to see if they befit his mental fantasy of the victim that he desires. So I think that within the time that he got there, and we know that he was at the south side of that bridge at roughly 12:30 when the lady walking her dog spotted him. So if he was down there from 12:30 until 2:30 for 2 hours, I'm going to say other people had been up there and on that bridge. Other people had been to that bridge or at least crossed part of it within that 2 hours, and he's seen them. Just like the lady walking her dog, he didn't want that. He was there for the reason. He was duplicating Evansdale. You see what I'm saying with this? Now, it is, God, almost ironic. It's definitely a twist of fate that two young girls happened to show up unaccompanied and walked across to the south side of that bridge. That is, I mean, that was his opportunity, if you see where I'm at. And I think that that's what he uses, man. He uses opportunity. Now, that day specifically, now, if I look at Ann Pates, I can't say that. I mean, it was opportunity, yes, but he wasn't hunting. You see what I mean? He wasn't stalking her. He didn't go somewhere to wait for a person to show up. You know, she just happened to be there. He had probably, quickly note, I said, probably had just left a bar, had already been drinking, seen her out there by her car. Hey, man, could I help you? You see where I'm at? He takes advantage of opportunities. Well, he showed up at Monon High Bridge Trail that day to murder. That was his specific thing that he had in his mind. I'm going there to murder. It was on the reverse date of Evansdale, and it just happened to be the identical. Now, what are the odds of that, man? I mean, it's definitely long, but it happened like that. It did. It occurred like that. I mean, he was there, and he was probably in hope of two young girls like that showing up, and they did. And again, man, when you're looking at the odds, man, that's kind of a long shot, but there it is. Oh, well, I got likes. No, yeah, hey, yeah. You know what? And again, man, I dedicated this show to Daniel. He was the first one to pop up, man. Yeah. But, you know, you're right. I mean, in speaking of like what that was, you know, because, and I told Devil Lance that. I said, to me, it looks like it's pixelation, but it's that separation of light to black where it blurs and it takes on a shape. Just like the brown item looked flat in one and the other it was puffed out. It looks like hair here. Then when he turns his head, it's a hat. The pixelation really plays with images and it gives them shape, man. Look, I'll take this down to a friend of mine who lived down here. They just moved. They were great friends of mine. They only live a few miles up the way, but you know, they used to live right down the street here from me. She never said much, man, concerning the Delphi murder case, but she'd sit down there, you know, every night. We'd go down there at 10:30 and me and Greeno would be talking about it. Well, one day, man, and this like last year, maybe a little bit over a year ago, she seen a picture that was online taken from Delphi that day. Now, she is swearing that in the background on this, because it was taken from Monon High Bridge, looking over to the south side, right? But it was to the left if you're crossing to the south, like back over toward the shoreline of Deer Creek. Now, she said, right there, you see, this is him, and he's standing there. And this right here and this are the two girls. You can see that they're tied up, and they're right there. And we told her that is not possible. That is not where it happened. You know, you got that, what's it called? Somebody help me out with the word, man. Like polyglaucoma or something like that. You know, where you're seeing things that aren't there. You're letting your mind like fixate on what it is that you want to see, and you're kind of having yourself see that within it. It's not clear, but you can make a determination that this shape is a you, this is a man. That these two things down here are one. Well, she actually got kind of upset about that, you know, and she's like, no, you don't see it. I do. It is there. It is real. So now what happened, man, is me and Greeno went over there because he was telling her exactly where that photo came from. He goes, I know where that photo came from. And it was a guy that I had met out there because him and his other friend were taking pictures. So he came back, he got the original. And then we went out there, and I think it was like, it may have been the following day or 2 days later. We go out there, and we took a picture of the exact same. Now, the thing is that with our camera, it was a very clear shot where you could see that this right here, when you compare it right next to it, that is a stump. This right here was too long. You see what I mean? Your mind can see what it wants to see in a way. If you're allowing it that much imagination into what you are seeing. But, and again, it goes like this. If you were crossing that bridge, and you've all seen how that bridge is laid out. If you was walking across that bridge, would you carry a baton or a rifle down the front of your pants? Nobody would. You see where I'm at? A backpack, being that long, you could have put it in. You could have put everything in a backpack. I'm out here hiking, taking pictures. Nobody would have thought anything of it, but you wouldn't carry that down your leg. Hope everybody sees what I'm saying there. All right. Yeah. You know what? I've been looking over areas where TB had lived. I looked up around Flint, Michigan, found 2 that I can say were probably his doings. I think the Ann Pates, Mary Pryor, those look like his work. It just does. Now, I was talking about Beth Bentley yesterday, and nobody really understood. Now, one time I brought her name up. I said there was a woman from Northern Illinois that was missing, and her body was found a couple of years ago down in Southern Illinois. Well, when I found that out, man, it was just on the outskirts of St. Louis, but she was seeing a man from St. Louis. All right. Well, her friend, she was down there visiting, took her to the Amtrak station to head back up to Northern Illinois. That was the last time she was seen. So she was abducted from an Amtrak station. Now, if you're going to go up and abduct somebody from an Amtrak station, they're going to have to know who you are. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I can't just walk up to somebody at a train station and be like, hey, come with me. I got a gun. Nobody would do that. So she would have had to walk outside with the person that she knew. Now, I kind of liken that to, because of where she was found and the condition of her body, but it was burnt, because whoever did it had went back and tried to cover it by burning the body. So part of the skeleton was burnt, but it was in the woods, and it was like 12 miles away from where the Amtrak station was. So I kind of put that was a maybe. I can't say anything. It doesn't say how she was killed, nothing like that. But they did do DNA, and they said, yeah, it's Beth Bentley. So here, let me pull her picture up here real quick. And Beth Bentley was not a bad looking lady. She really wasn't. Very good looking lady, actually. Big eyes and such. But somebody murdered her. Now, I can't, but it could be. It very well may be. Now, I think he had a handgun with him. And I'm kind of an answer to that. And a knife. And maybe not plastic ties. I mean, maybe, possibly. But I think if you got a pistol, I mean, there it is. I mean, if you see my point. Hey, do as I say, man, you won't die, man. Don't step out of line, though. Because that's how a killer thinks, man. That's what John Kelly Profiler was saying. Same thing. You get him under that duress of, hey, look, you'll be okay. You do as I say. And then you lead him off. You see where I'm at? So I always thought from the go that he probably, in all likelihood, had a handgun. But I don't think that he killed with the handgun. I think that he had a knife for that because he wanted to be quiet. He did not want it shouted out that, hey, I'm back here firing shots and I got to walk a mile out of here. He didn't want that. But a knife, that would have probably had been the better means, or something that he could have picked up to. And again, I don't want to go into like what I feel like how the crime had went because I don't really give that much thought. But what I am doing is I'm telling you why I believe that he had that. If you got a handgun, it's easy. Do as I say or I'll pull the trigger. Got you. Doing as you say. Don't want to die. And that is why, because I know that he had 3 handguns and an AR-15 Bushmaster rifle, that he had a holster on him. Because I think he was carrying. And again, man, if you got a jacket and a coat and a hoodie, you just cover that right up, man, if you're talking to somebody. I mean, you ain't got to be displaying it to the world. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm calling from the Council for Drug Abuse Prevention.
Oh, fuck yeah. Hey, it's drug abuse. Man.
I'm calling to remind you that it is still illegal to smoke marijuana recreationally.
Hey, it's illegal to smoke marijuana recreationally. Well, it's very much dependent upon where you live. It really is. I mean, like, look at me. I live in Colorado. That's who I am. I live in Colorado. I can do whatever I want. I'm king. Oh, yeah, man. Not yet. Not yet, man. And well, I didn't want the phone going off there. It kind of made till like about halftime. Speaking of halftime, did anybody watch the game last night? I turned it off after the first quarter. I said, yeah, man, they're going to smoke us, man. And they did. They really did. You know, so, I mean, what the Colts need, we need a quarterback. You know, you remember Andrew Luck? Remember that little? I do. Yeah. I remember his worthless backside. Anyways. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's always the same person, man. They call anonymous, man. I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't even answer. But hey, it might be a funny one this time. It really wasn't, though. I mean, geez. Look, man, I went to prison for marijuana. Literally. I went to prison. Westville, man. I did time for marijuana. That's right. Wasn't even selling it, man. Yeah, they got me. Carroll County. Dennis Randall, the untouchable. That dude got me. Whoa, and Hammond. Hammond shows up at my door. Yeah, fat little piece of shit. I don't like Hammond. I just don't. I really don't. Yeah, he didn't retire. He didn't retire, man. What he did is he left the Colts. That's what he did. He'll be back. He'll play for another team, probably New England, because they're going to replace Brady. Hey, we'll pay you big, huge money. Great, man. The Colts gave me a couple $100 million. I could use more. Hey, man, I own an island in Hawaii. I'm Andrew Luck, and I do what's good for. I'm doing what's right for Andrew Luck by digging this money. That'll be yours, Luck. Hope your life turns to complete shit, pal. Yeah, other careers. Yeah, like a honeymoon. That was his other career. Okay, so let me get back to this. Now, what's hard about this is this. I sit here every week and I repeat myself. I'm trying not to. I really hate to. And this is why I looked into these other cases. Now, in coming days, still, I got the Mary Pryor murder that I'm going to make a video on. Now, that was in Lennon, Michigan. Ah, crap. You know what, man? Let me pull that up for you. Let me pull that up here real quick. That way you can see where Lennon, Michigan is in comparison to Montrose. Because Lennon is a little bitty town, a very, very small town. It is like the size of, actually, almost identical in size to Burlington. Now, right here is Montrose. So if I go over here and I put in directions to Montrose, you will see that it is 15 miles up the road. 15 miles, 18-minute drive. Now, this is the size of Burlington, and Montrose ain't much bigger. It's in the same county of Genesee. Now, this right here is where Mary Pryor was killed in 1997. And right here, just to the right of Montrose on Highway 57, is where Ann Pates was abducted and then murdered, and her body left 15 miles to the east of there. Now, that's a little bitty area. And now law enforcement may have connected the two. And you know what? I will go this far with it. I know that Mary Pryor, they spoke of finding fingerprints on her body where she was dragged back to the back. So I know that they had fingerprints. Now, if you got fingerprints, correct me where I'm wrong, you can track someone down if they'd been arrested. That's a match, man. We got them. We know who did this. But they couldn't. They couldn't because this guy didn't have fingerprints in the database. Sounds a lot like Thomas Bruce, doesn't it? Who's from Montrose and was at this time living about right here in Flint, Michigan. It actually makes kind of a little triangle there. But he would take this way to go and was probably on his way back up to Montrose, or could have been going this way to Montrose and then this way back. You know, tomato, tomato. It's all in the same county. He went to school with people from Lennon and Flint, for that matter. So I'm definitely saying that he had a hand in the rape and murder of an 88-year-old lady and a 77-year-old lady, a 53-year-old lady, a 23-year-old lady. It goes around the board with this guy. He doesn't care the age. And I know everybody points that out. Yeah, I don't believe it, though. Yeah, a 77-year-old? Nah, you're talking about kids. If they're female and he's drinking and he gets into that rage, I don't think he cares. I don't think he gives a rat's behind about what age is. I think if they are helpless, he can brutalize them. And I think that that's what is in his mind, is brutalizing someone who is innocent and cannot defend themselves. That's evil. That's how it works. Oh, wait, I missed the question. You know what? I don't really know. I would assume so. I have not seen that like in any papers or anything, but I mean, you know, if you're her, would you not? Has everyone hit like? Probably not. Probably got like 2 likes, man. All right. Well, anyways, back to the business at hand. Now, I was looking at Escondido, California, and that is in San Diego County, and it pretty much borders Orange County. Now, I was looking over unsolved rape and murders out there. But man, they go back into like the 50s. I mean, like seriously, way back in the 50s all the way to now. And that stuff happens like all the time in San Diego County. So trying to spotlight one is really hard. Now, if you go to Genesee County, Michigan, man, you're only going to have a couple, few or 3. Now, if they fit the, how would I put it, like the MO that I pretty much give TB, then I consider that, yes, he probably had a hand in that. No, you're not blocked. In fact, if you ask if you're blocked and it shows you're not. Don't even know why you would ask. Yeah. Okay. And Mike Weaver's here, everybody. Mr. Left Hand. Well, all right. Let's go that route. Because Double Ants ain't here. I ain't seen no Double Ants. He's late on arrival. I told him I'd be doing a live show tonight. But I did get a email today from Streamlab, the people who I'm doing this through, and they said, hey, you just about reached your limit on free use of it. And I'm like, I mean, I thought it was free, man. But no, I don't think he's here. He said he would be here. So, oh, no way. Hey, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, former heavyweight champion of the world is coming out of retirement. Maybe is what I'm hearing. You know, I'm looking forward to that, man. I am. Yeah, give it to him, champ. Oh, and he will be in my Delphi Monon High Trail vid, because we walked across the bridge. In fact, got him kind of standing where Abby was, where I was like on that one platform. And then he was down that way where he was walking toward where I felt that they were when I had the camera. That way I could just give good comparison shots. That was all that was about. A differing YouTuber has said that, no, they were clear on the way south side of the bridge. I'm like, dude, you couldn't be. I mean, look, and let me point this out one more time, if I may here. Oh, crap. I got to go find it again. All right. Check it out. Now, you can see right here that the person is clearly to his left side. Clearly. Now, this is the right-hand side of the tracks, and this goes almost all the way over to the right side of the tracks, about right in this area here. And there's a platform just this side and just to the right. That's where I believe that they were, right in or on that platform when she got that picture. Now, he said, this other YouTuber, that they was clear to the south side on the trail. Well, they wouldn't appear that far to his right if they was clear to the south side with the face on shot. Then it would look more like he was dead onto the front rather than it being to their left like that. Now, I realize she had the camera pointed in that direction because you can see that it is pointing at like right there at a northwesternly position in order to capture him. Now, being at a northwestern angle, I would place them right on that last platform on the left-hand side toward the end of the bridge. That's where I believe that they were. But now this other YouTuber that I'm speaking of, he delights himself with science. So, you know, he did tests, man. And I just want to know that, you know, he was out there and he did some like science and stuff. You know, I don't want to leave him out there like he's not a great science mind and stuff, but I'm not sure that I understand that comment right there. If you could kind of go in on that a little bit. It says lots of users filmed near their right before the murders. Well, I'll wait. But yeah, anyway, I think that they were, in fact, if yeah, hell, man, I am doing nothing further here. So let me just go there real quick. We'll kind of take a quick look. We'll just zoom on in, see what we can find here. One second, man. Now, this here, and because there's always new people here, in fact, I'll blow this up a touch. This here is the parking area, okay? Means you're coming up on 25, you make a left here, you go up Old State Road 25, and you can pull in right here and go up to that parking area. That's the main parking area for Monon High Bridge Trail. Now, you could also park going back at the time of the murders right there at the secondary entrance, but they closed that gate. I don't think that it's really so much parking there. They don't have the sign up anymore, but that's how it was. Now, over here, and I'll show you how this was done. Because if you bypass that and go up and under 25 and then pull in this way, and this building is no longer here. They took it out. So the CPS building is no longer there. But he got to here and he backed in. He backed in because he didn't want people going up and down 300 here over the course of the day, seeing his license plate, seeing where he was from. You see where I'm at? So if he backed in here, then he could hit the trail and just walk it up to here, up this here, up by this here, and then straight down into the trail. Now let's follow this on down. But you know what, man? I'm looking for that. There it is right there. This is secondary entrance. You can't really see that, man. The trees are very much in the way at this point. Now right here is where I believe that they were. And it looks really quick to right there, but that is the last platform on the left. Now he was back over here. Now again, this is what I think. Because see, the tracks used to go straight to here. They just follow straight on down. Well, that's a trail in the woods where I say it's like a trail. You know, all those trees aren't really huge. They're still rather small where it's somewhat walkable. Now, I think that he held right into here, like right in this area. Wait, can you guys see this shit? Okay, you can. I think that he was like right back in this area in that wood line. And that's when the lady that lived here was out walking her dog and came upon him. That's where she lived, right here, right in this house here. Now, if he held there, he could see all the way up to this north side with field glasses, which I think that he had on. Okay. Now, when they walked down to this side, once they got down toward here, I think he came out, walked by him, and had said something very creepy. Something that only a monster would say. Okay. And he walked up to about here. Now, mind you, and I can show you this because I walked that and I got the video. When you walk up so far right there, and there's no leaves on the trees, you can see right down to here to make sure that nobody had walked the 505 trail down to the water, because he was going to take them down right here. And being no leaves on the trees, anybody over here could have spotted him. He wanted to make sure that nobody had walked that 505 back over here and down to the water. Once he got up and seen nobody was there, he turned around. That phone was on video record. You see where I'm at? Because they knew when he was coming back that something was fixing to happen. I don't think that they felt he was coming back to kill him, but they knew that the guy was about no good. That's why she put it on video record. Now, people said, well, why didn't they run? They could have ran. But again, I don't think that they felt that their life was in danger. You know, I mean, they could have called law enforcement, but I don't think that they felt that there was a need to call law enforcement. I'm sure they just thought that this is some very weird guy. He's going to say some more trash or whatever it was he said to him. We want to get that on record so we can like let law enforcement know that this guy's out here. I think that that was probably the biggest part of what it was that she was looking at. So let me blow this up a piece here and a little bit more, perhaps maybe one more. All right. When you cross here and then you go down, right at the bottom of this, like as soon as you go down this hill here, and this right here is a hill that goes down this way, going back to the left or the right there. And it goes down to this private drive, which is flat. But right here along the tracks, this right here is another walking path that goes down to here. Now you can kind of see in the shadow right here of where that car path runs. And it runs like right up through here. So once you go down and you go down this bigger hill down to here, then they walked it right down to here and they crossed right here And this is with the crime scene right over in here, right over in this area. But that's me. That is my thoughts on it at this time. Oh man, hey, I got that charge one time. I did get that charge, but I've gotten most charges. I've gotten a lot of charges over time, but that it was one of them, man. Found out though, man, you don't spit at them, man. And they take that shit for real, man. That's like a felony. I thought, man, how is it, man? Like, if somebody's dog comes up and licks them, they're fine with that, man. You spit on somebody, they act like you're getting a disease, man. Like, man, I just tossed like liver cancer on them or some shit. God, man, cops. I don't care for them. I don't care. Well, I don't know. There used to be really cool cops, man. I remember the day. No, well, I got indecent exposure. That too. Oddly enough, it was at the same time as the other one. Kind of a story, but I was drinking. I was in my house in my underwear. Okay. And I answered the door, man, when the cops knocked, which I thought was an ambulance. And I walked outside, man. And then, being that it was cops and I was drunk, man, I just started being a real dick about it. And that will get you indecent exposure real fast. You don't want to be a dick like that. Yeah, he seems all right by me, man. Hey, if he trolls, take him out. All right, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, Billy Bob. Yeah, I am. But the vote's in, and we are a republic under Katt here. All right. So anyway, now that oh shit. Sorry, everyone. I had my ringer off. I guess that was wrong of me to throw the number up and then have my ringer off. You know what? Last night I was watching the end of the game, to see if we were still getting smoked or not. And well, we did. And actually, when I turned it back, man, Drew Brees just got the most touchdown passes of any quarterback ever. Well, it was about like a little after 11, and I looked at my phone, and I'm like, man, somebody called me. Oh, crap. That's right. I forgot. The heavyweight champion of the world was giving me a call during the game. So I looked at it. It was him. Gave him a call back. And again, I had my ringer off, man. It's one of those things, man. I'm not used to phones. I'm just not. That's why I don't have a cell phone. Yeah, you know what? True story. And sorry, everyone. I just want to break with this real quick. This was at Florida Fair, and this was the same year as Purdue won the Rose Bowl. Drew Brees was at the fair signing autographs for Purdue. Now, I was working there at the fair, setting up the Ferris wheel, and I also had I don't know what it is. It's that big room that you go in where kids jump around like it's a balloon. I was running that as well. Anyway, man, dude comes up to me I was working with, and he's all like, hey, dude, man. He goes, man, I'll watch this, man. He goes, get over there, man. He goes, like, Purdue's quarterbacks, and they're signing autographs. Oh, okay, cool. Well, I wasn't a big Purdue fan, but I did know that they won the Rose Bowl, so I went in to get his autograph. Never entered my mind that he was going to be the great Super Bowl winning quarterback with the most touchdown passes in NFL history, but I had him sign that to Katt, my all-time favorite receiver, peace and stuff, Drew Brees. I told him that, and he said, peace and stuff? Yeah, if you don't mind. All right, peace and stuff, Drew Brees. If I still had that autograph, if I still did, man, that would be worthy. God, man, had I known, I would have had him sign like about 5 more. But when I got arrested for marijuana in Carroll County, that was one of the many items I never seen again. Yeah. You know what? It might be in Dennis Randall's home right now, for what I really know. Maybe Hammond took it. I mean, he's a POS. God knows what he took. Yeah, they do. But they like my channel for a reason. That's why trolls like to show up. See, trolls can't say anything worthy. They can't make a video. They don't have anything good to say. They cling to Facebook theories. And anybody saying anything other than, because they're young, most of them are in and around Delphi, and they're just local twats. That's all it amounts to. They're just having fun. There you go. They're just having a good time. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, it ain't going to be the Colts, but man, if I had it my way, I'd like to see Detroit go to the Super Bowl one time in my life. I mean, man, they had Barry Sanders for a long time, man. But Barry Sanders, like, was the Detroit Lions. When you was playing the Detroit Lions, it was like, who we playing? Oh, man, the Colts are going to be playing Barry Sanders. All right. I hope we beat him. Yeah, I can't explain that. I don't. I cannot tell you why. Yeah, man, maybe you heard of them, Sue. Detroit Lions. I remember the show, man. I think it was, what was it? Oh, I think it was Mr. Mom, man. Guy says, man, he goes, I ain't worried about the, oh, no, wait. Michael Keaton said something about like, oh, man, what's got you down? He was at work. He goes, this is the Lions? He goes, no, it ain't the Lions. It's the lines, man. The unemployment lines. Yeah, it was funny, man. I liked old movies back then. Yeah, you know what, Daniel? That was the direction that I was intending my channel to go for a while. Now, concerning the Delphi murder case, Michael Griffey, he wrote the book Lynch, the Amber Green story. That's the other unsolved murder case in Carroll County. You got two, the Delphi murders and the abduction and murder of Llewellyn Abbott. Now, that's the one that they had pinned on Amber Green. That's the one where they put him in Carroll County Jail. And it's a big, huge story. And it's one that everybody should know. Look this book up. And you know what? I in my next video that I make, I will tell you how to get it, because I got a PDF where you can go there and read it. It's 100 pages. I suggested to Greeno, who says, hey, why don't we print it? Okay, 10 cents a page, man, 100, $10. Yeah, all right, man, let's just print the whole damn book out. He sat here for 2 weeks, man, never even read it. No, I will, dude, I will. Yeah, millennials don't read. Hello? It was Jason. You know, Kelly, the guy that calls in every week. I don't know. I have no idea why it wouldn't show all of his chat. He's not blocked. I mean, last thing I would do is block Michael Weaver. You know what? I have had that happen, though, in the past. Like where my chat shut down on this end. Because like no chat was popping up, and then bam, it would just pop up like 25 at once. A little weird. I am on live chat, unless you're talking to Weaver. Yeah. Man, you should be good, dude. Just repeat, copy and paste. But anyway, I did want to do an interview with Michael Griffey. Now, he wrote Well, in the first one, Lynch, the Emma Green story, he did the research. Now, what that was is, hang on, I'll go get the book. 1 minute. It's right here, actually. But this definitely plays into because I'm just going to start blocking unknown numbers, man. Yeah. You need to answer the phone when I pick it up. Thank you. This is Emma Green hanging. Little puppy right there at his feet. But anyway, all of this here, and I don't know if you can see this worth of crap, but all of it, it's actually backwards. Like that. All of these right here were taken out of newspaper articles. The whole book. And it tells the whole story of the abduction, everything that was in the Delphi, the Logan Sport paper, the Indianapolis paper. Gives a whole rundown of it. Now, I think that they made that book in 1974. Now, I think it was 2 years ago, he came out with a second book that he wrote. But in the second book, what he did was he condensed all of the research that he had done and all the information that was in the newspaper articles into one story that outlined everything. Damn good book. And I forget what the name of that was, man. I bought it and I took it to a friend's house. I left it there. He moved. Oh, it's in a box somewhere, dude. That means I'll never see it again. I'll rebuy it. But anyway, that is a good story. Because they hung him, man, and there is no remains of Llewellyn Abbott. I want to point that out. They found remains, and the doctor goes, no, it's her remains. But then there was 55 different dentists that looked at it and said, man, that's a 55-year-old tobacco-chewing man. They ain't even a woman, dude. So they buried her over in Lafayette, where the Abbott family plot is just up the highway from me. You know, they're at Sharon, little town. They got like a family plot. That's where the rest were buried at. But her father didn't want her buried at the family plot because he didn't believe that the remains that they found were his daughter's. Anyway, it was kind of his idea that he wanted to have the ID channel, maybe exhume the body, test the DNA against the Abbott blood, you know, and see if it was a match, you know, if it was her or not. But if it is not her, then there were never any remains of Llewellyn Abbott. None found. It's like, well, you know, maybe buried her somewhere. You know, we don't know. Maybe he didn't kill her. You know, maybe they hung an innocent man. I mean, that's what he claimed, man. He said, hey, look, man, it don't matter what I tell you. It doesn't matter what I say. You got a noose around my neck and you brought me out here to hang me. Get about your business. Get to hanging. I thought, man, that's a dude with some testicles there. You came out to hang me? Get on with it. Yeah. I didn't come here just to talk, you know. Make me swing a bit. $28 thumbs up. Not bad. All right, let me get back into some business here. Does anybody have a question? Because, man, I can just put this at 1 hour. I don't want to just sit here and make stuff up because then it seems the show unworthy to watch. If I'm not talking about the case and I'm just rambling, who gives a piss? I don't. Oh, thanks, Carol. So no questions? 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes, man. Let's get a question out here. I'll just start talking, man. Dr. Topper, people. Right. Hey, you know what? Thanks for that right there. Because I'll tell you what. This is what happened. And I want people to know what happened with that. Now, that Jeep Cherokee, that was in Jefferson County. Now, that's where he was arrested at because he was living in Imperial in Jefferson County at that time. And that's what she was looking through was Jefferson County records. When in actuality, though, at the time of 2012, he was living in St. Louis County. That's where his residence was. That's where he paid taxes. So the Jeep Cherokee, not his vehicle. But I can tell you right now that his vehicle will be found because we know his residence, where he lived, and we are searching through that as we speak. Although I'm not right now. I'm not right now looking for it, as you can tell. But I have been. Also been looking at other murder cases where he lived. Also, I believe we're trying to get his military records. That way we can see when he was like on leave, when he could have went home, if anything happened during that time, where he was stationed at, where any unsolved rape murders around there may have occurred that we could tie to him. We got 1 year. 1 year before it's announced. And in 1 year's time, we'll probably have everything. We will probably have in our possession what the prosecutors will. I'm that good. And so is she. She's like the best at looking that stuff up. Know that. Which murders? Are you talking about Delphi specifically? Because he goes to jury trial on the Catholic supply store homicide and sexual assault next October. So that'll be October of 2020. Now, when that's complete, he's sentenced and he's sent to like what we have in Indiana. We have RDC. We go down there to get the DOC number. All right. He's got to get his Missouri DOC number when he's sent to prison. When he gets that DOC number, he's fair game. Then all the law enforcement can go down and talk to him. They will go down and talk to him from Michigan on Ann Pates, Mary Pryor. I know those two they'll be talking to him about. Evansdale, Delphi, and let me see, what was the other one? Maybe Beth Bentley. I didn't call that in because I didn't think that, I mean, there wasn't enough there to call that into me. It wasn't anything where I could say, yeah, that looks like his work. It did to the extent that her body was found in the woods. But, I mean, he's never tried to set him on fire. But if you look at hers, I don't even think that Beth Bentley, provided it was him, was his first. I think it went back before that. Hell, I could even go back to Susan Collins. And that was in, 85? 1985 in Tennessee. And that may have been his first. I mean, if not, then you would be looking pre-85, but you would still be looking in or around the Genesee County, Michigan area, because that's where he was from before he joined the Navy. And I didn't see anything prior to that. So if I put that at 1985, and I'm supposedly, if he had killed Susan Collins. But if he didn't, then I would say the first one would be Mary Pryor. Is the first one I could point to say, yeah, that looks like something that he did right there. And that was in July of 87. Now, I did notice, kind of peculiar, but hear me out, because when I get bored, I start looking over evidence that was before unknown. So I started looking at some very off-the-wall things. But I did notice that almost everything that I can tie to him or say that he had played hand in was in February or July. And almost every single one of them, aside of one, was on a given this moon. I was like, wow, that is kind of odd, man. I don't think he was going by the moon phase, but at the same time, most of them was done on a Friday or a Monday. And almost all of them was in a February or July date. There was one on the 12th, which I think was Susan Collins. One on July 13th. July 2nd. And I think Mary Pryor's was in February. And I forget the date on that. Might have been February 27th. But all of them was July and February. That is odd, and it makes me wonder why. I mean, it's almost like it's every couple of years at that time of year, man. Things happen. Shit happens in that cat's mind. Hey, AJ Dolman, man, how you doing? Ain't seen you in a while, man. Just ain't been kicking it around my channel, dude. I'm happy to see you. So what proof is there that they have to say he did it? Well, there could be all kinds, Dustin. It could be DNA, because this guy generally rapes the victim, despite age. He don't care. So you got DNA. I know that they got fingerprints off of Mary Pryor. I'm pretty certain that they had fingerprints in Delphi. I'm going to say he's not afraid to leave DNA or fingerprints because he knows he ain't got them in the database. He knows it won't connect back to him. Now, that's some evidence. Also, it's the same method of death. Normally a cut to the neck. Woods. Abduction. Normally crime of convenience where he's seen him. No one was around. Wasn't spotted. The only one where he was ever spotted was in Delphi. And not only was he spotted, but he was also videotaped and recorded. So that was his giveaway. But the big giveaway on that was CC Moore, man. Ancestral DNA. He knew. And he knew in July of last year that within about 3 months they was going to come knocking at his door. And 2 months after that, right at about the time that he assumed any day now, here they come, they're going to be knocking at my door for it, that's when things started breaking down for him. In September, July, August, September, 2 months later. And remember, CC Moore started the April Tinsley case in May, June, July, they arrested him. Now, they came out in July and said that Carroll County investigators were using the same technology as what got, damn, man, what was his name? Crap. Smith. They're in Fort Wayne. What happens? 2 months later, in September, he goes and sexually assaults a 77-year-old. The following month, in October, he's pulled over for a traffic, by the state trooper in Missouri for driving erratic and acting insane on the highway. He was drunk as hell. The cop said, just go home, dude. You'll be all right. Just go sleep it off. Yeah. So I think that all that happened, man, is because he knew that they was going to come around knocking on his door. Same as they did with, now I need to go look that guy's name up. Miller. John Miller? Let's call him John Miller. Now, hang on a minute. I need to go find that. Let me find the name here. Yeah, it is. It's John Miller. John Miller was the guy that did it. They traced him through ancestral DNA, right to his family traits, right down, then manually reduced the family tree down to him and his brother. She says it's one of these two guys. They went through their trash, got things that would have their DNA on them, tested that against the DNA that they had, said, there he is. That's him. Went to John Miller's house. Boom. You know why we're here? April Tinsley? Yeah, dude. Exactly. Come with us. So he knew that they was going to come knocking at his door in due time. He wanted to go out on his own terms. And that's how that happened, because the month after October, in July, in November, that's when he went to the Catholic supply store and did that. Now, there was no way that he went into that Catholic supply store believing that he was going to get over on that. He knew that they was going to find him. He knew it'd be days, because that was going to be a big event. And it was. It was 2 days later they broke into his house. Now, I take this to a suicide by cop. I think that when they came in, he was going to have his gun handy and start firing and be shot dead. And I think that that's the way he intended it. I don't think he intended to be doing life without parole on like numerous charges, and probably, hopefully, maybe even facing death in Indiana or Michigan. You know, if he would have got hit with the first one and it was Susan Collins, he would have been dead in 2006, and those two girls still would have been alive there in Delphi and Evansdale. Same with Mary Pryor. No. Yeah, Mary Pryor and Pates. Same applies. Oh, wow. Man, dude. That's cool as all get out, man. Iceland and then over to Israel. God, man, I'd do anything to go over to Israel. Like anything. Man, that'd be like the coolest place ever to go. Just hang out, man. Which area are you? Again, I mean, are you talking about Delphi? Okay, I'll wait for you to get back on that one, and I will slide up to this one here. Why do you think he did those murders? For what was his reason, you think? And what's your proof that he did do those murders? Well, Dustin, kind of comes down like this. This man, Thomas Bruce, was from his hometown, Montrose, Michigan, a spot in the road like Burlington here. Population 600 people. There it is. All right. Now, when you look at the crimes that he has committed, and like we could take the Catholic supply store as a result, he goes in posing as a customer. Now, he tells the cashier that he wanted to buy something, but I got to go out to my car to get my credit card. But he comes back with the handgun. Now, there was 3 women in that store. There was the cashier and 2 other women. He ordered them into a back room with a handgun, and then said, and again, I'm not saying this to be graphic, but, you know, they needed to perform acts on him. Well, the cashier refused, man, and he shot her in the head and killed her, and then did it to the other 2, like backside, if you see my point, the unbiblical method. Now, that's pretty graphic. Now, when I look at like Delphi, from what I've heard from Evansdale, and now when I look at Mary Pryor, she was brutalized. It's the same methodology. She was strangled to death. She was raped. Now, this is in a small town. Again, just the same size as Montrose, but just 15 miles up the highway. Bar right across the street. When I look at it, the one at Ann Pates, her car broke down on Highway 57. Well, here's Montrose. You go out to 75 and then down to Flint where he lived at. He was leaving the bar on his way home. There's a woman by her car. Crime of opportunity. Now, that's my reasoning behind it. That's me. That's how I think. That's how I look at it. I say, yeah, that's brutal. Yeah, that's in his hometown. Yeah, he was living there at that time. Yeah, this looks like his handiwork. And that's why I say that. Now, when you say proof, do you think I'm holding his DNA? Do you think like over here I got his fingerprints, that kind of shit? Because I don't. I'm not holding that kind of proof. I'm holding like deductive reasoning by looking at the manner in which he operates, looking at the manner of these deaths, looking at the fact that fingerprints were left, but they had no match, stating to me, a person that would look into this, that he had no fingerprints on file. The person that raped and killed Mary Pryor had never been arrested before. The same as Delphi. The same as, because when you go through this, you would say, well, there had to have been fingerprints and DNA. Okay, there's fingerprints and DNA. Well, if you got fingerprints and DNA, but you can't have no match, that person had never been arrested before. It's like Kim Riley told me, it's like the man had never committed a crime. Well, he's not saying that the man had never committed a crime. He had never been caught committing a crime. Because if he had ever been caught committing a crime and ever went to jail, even for a PI, they'd have his fingerprints on file. But they don't. So again, that lays more proof to me. There's just more reason for me to look at it and say, this is the man that we're looking for right there in Daniel Nations. Hang on, man. I missed Dustin's question. Yeah. If he used a gun in Delphi, maybe not. But I'll put it to you like this. When Cheyenne arrived at Monon High Bridge Trail, this is during the time when the crime is occurring. Okay? It's like when the crime was ending at that point when she arrived. Because from where she parked to Monona High Bridge is a 16-minute walk. Well, it's, let's see, man, what was that? I think when I took the southern route, it was like 4.5 minutes from the crime scene to the 501 trail. Well, she walked to Monon High Bridge Trail, but did not see the suspect because he had not exited back to the 501 trail. So she didn't see him. But Flannel Shirt guy arrived 10 minutes after her, and he was walking to Monon High Bridge, okay? But he walked by the suspect. The suspect was walking back toward his car when he was heading to the bridge. Now, the reason she didn't see him, he hadn't exited the woods yet. But he had before Flannel Shirt guy seen him. See where I mean? Now, I'm just saying, if he had a .22 caliber pistol with him, up close right there, because you got to be looking at the fact that you're about a mile away from where the crime happened when you park at the main parking area. Now, it's way down a big, steep hill that you're down at the bottom of, okay? And then you head all the way back west about a mile. If he was down in that and shot up close, with the .22, I don't think that anybody would have heard it. Don't think anybody would have gave it a second thought anyway. Somebody out squirrel hunting. Nobody would have heard that. Where I live at here, everybody around me has machine guns. I mean, you'll hear this guy over here, man, straight across the Wildcat from me. He's got like what sounds like a 50 cal automatic, man. It's crazy. So in the woods here, there's a lot of hunting, man. A lot of people hunt squirrels. A lot of people hunt rabbits. A lot of people hunt deer. A .22 caliber, you hear that all the time. I could go out any day of the week and hear a .22 caliber being shot where I live. So it's not uncalled for to hear a gunshot. If you're in a big city and you hear a gunshot, probably somebody died. If you're out here, there's probably a squirrel. There ain't too many people getting shot and killed. But he could have fired a bullet, and killed one of them. I don't think that he did because he didn't know where anybody was at. He didn't know if any local, hikers were right nearby up toward the bridge where they could have heard that and, went to check it out when he was walking back. I don't think he wanted that. That's why I think it was probably done in another manner. Oh, all right, man. Welcome back, Alaska. Oh man, new comments. Oh shit, that was a long time ago. Oh, it's cool, Tony. You know what, man? Stay at work, man. Don't get distracted. I don't want blame. Want no blame on that. Okay, so well, nobody's calling, and I need more questions. If I missed a question and you made one, please throw it up now. That way we can keep the show rolling. But anyway, oh, so man, that was really fast. Oh man, It- yeah. A what? Just a minute ago? Yeah. Right. Why you first time you was watching my show or something? Okay. So what was your thoughts on the 22? Yeah. Hey, would it be okay to put you on live? All right. Now, if you say the F word, no, I already do it anyway. Go ahead.
Well, that's all good. I mean, the 45 is a 50. I mean, compared to the 22, I mean, it's obvious. It's not all. It's like the math equation. When you're back in school, you sort of understand and put variables together. I mean, it's just the way it is. I think I sound a little uneducated, but I just sort of tuned in and the tail end of this thing. So, I'm just kind of jumped in a little bit.
Right. Well, like I say, now the guy that lives back this way from me, now he's got every gun imaginable. Seriously, man, he's got like 50 cal. I think, man, he's got like the AR-15. I mean, he's over there. He rock and rolls all the time. Some of the shit that he's got, man, is like rather insane. Now I hear him back there with these 22, man. He's got a squirrel dog, but now I can hear a 22.
Yeah.
But it's kind of meaningless because I mean I know it's a 22. Well, if it was out there at the trails, especially down there toward Ronald Logan's way down that deep hill, I don't think that anybody would have heard it. And I think that if Cheyenne had just got to the trail, she probably wouldn't have heard it. Never would have gave it a thought.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, I remember going up there and killing me one of them big bears during the weak season, and I took that big pup down, and we were so far out there, they didn't hear that shot for about shit. Must have been. I mean, my buddies were back to camp. Must have been 30 seconds. I mean, stuff like that, and even it was a big caliber gun and all, but you don't hear these things, so it all depends, I suppose, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And again, it's like I don't know anything about what happened at the crime. And I really don't like to take rumor. Now, Devil Lance last night had brought up, I think it was him, had brought up the fact that a guy that found him, and I think that most people know who I'm talking about, and I don't want to give his name, is probably giving him what he would want. But he had wrote on there speaking about how the girls looked when they were found. Now, I don't know how much to really put in that as real honesty, whether that was their condition or whether he was just seeking attention or if somebody else didn't write that in his favor and post it. But I do know this, that after he wrote that, that was the last time he had mentioned it. I think that law enforcement, if he did write that, had something to say about it.
I mean, potentially. I mean, there's always evidence that can take a man down. I mean, you kind of leave yourself out there, especially nowadays when you got the internet and stuff. I mean, people are just going to do some stuff. And eventually, you know, I mean, wherever the case may go, it's gonna lead down the path of justice.
Yeah, I agree. I think as soon as his court date's finished down there, I know that Delphi is going to go talk to him. The state of Indiana, the same with the state of Illinois, the same with the state of Michigan. So I know that those three states are going to go talk to him minimally, and it could be a lot more than that, because in any case where they have DNA, and that would be in every case where that they found that body in a good proper time, they would have DNA. Well, now they have his DNA, and it's going to match directly to him. So there's probably going to be a lot out in California as well that falls into favor on him.
Well, you know, the minute they get that solved, I mean, that's about the post-trial president, you know. That's a wrap.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, man, I don't want to hold too much. I got 5 minutes on you here, but you enjoy your time, and you know, I've been seeing that troller in the chat. You ought to take care of a man like that. You know, we don't have any part of that business in this live stream. Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, that's
Do you see his name? I mean, the Billy Bible man. I mean, that guy. The hell is his problem, man? You see that? I mean,
yeah, but man, that's what Alaska Blue does, man. She boots him.
yeah, he's the man. All right, man.
All right, man. Thanks for calling, dude.
You gotta take care of this. I mean, guys like you be finding out all this information, and that's crucial.
Well, it really isn't. I mean, understand that. I mean, I'm not doing this like law enforcement, okay? And I, you know, it's like I've told people, man, I'm behind law enforcement by a long ways, because they have things that I don't. They have DNA, they have fingerprints, they have things that point directly to him. I don't, man. I have to go like the long method in order to find him, and I won't find everything that he did. I'll guarantee you that. I will not find everything that he's done. But I'm sure that when it comes out, it will be big, huge news. He will be the Midwest answer to Ted Bundy. I believe.
Wow. I mean, I don't doubt any prediction at this point. I mean, that seems easily possible.
Well, man, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that I can say, and there's 2 that's unaccounted for that I could say he may had, but I can't say that he probably did. Now, I will say this. If he was down there at that CSI school in Tennessee at the time when Susan Collins was raped and murdered, then I would say, yeah, man, they absolutely executed the wrong guy, because that does, man, that looks like him. That looks like his method entirely. And for her just that to happen while she was jogging, again, you know, seems a little peculiar.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, again, all these weird variables. It's just you never know. I mean, but again, even if you're not law enforcement, whatever you're doing, I mean, still a privilege to be listening in and being able to call in a free phone number.
Yeah.
And all y'all better know in the chat. Let me just say it one time. It's 765-566-5023. Call in and give this guy some great content. All right.
Thank you much, man. Thank you.
All right, man. You take
Peace.
care tonight.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, cool, man. A caller, a real life caller, somebody who called in to say stuff. I like that. All right, now back up here. You know what? I did not remember his name, and I apologize. But if you're, there we go. It might be him calling back to give his name. Hello. Hello. How you doing? Oh, 2-pack, yeah. Okay. I see. I noticed that you was calling from in Ontario. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, what did you witness?
A cell phone, and I had a cell phone, so I have proximity, time and date stamp. I also have that I texted from my friend's phone.
Now, where was you at when you did that?
Worked over Canada, and then the Patties followed me to my home after. They talked to me. The Patties, Becky and Mike, talked to me after I seen the girls, and then they followed me after I'd noticed them to see if I'd caught on to them being in the news.
So you're saying that the whole murder is a fraud, that it didn't happen?
They're big parts, buddy. Big parts, beat up to made human. There's no murders occurred.
Uh-huh. Well, how do you know that it was pig parts?
Well, how are they going to be alive after declared deceased and me see them here in Canada? And then they follow me to my home and ask me where to invest in money in my town and about what to do. And they invested in a laundromat here. And then Abby and Libby were at the laundromat there. I seen them doing my laundry. And they've been hiding here. And I'm not going to tell you where and how and all these people that are involved, but there's more than just them.
Okay, then why would they do that?
Well, so they could get money for the town, which they wanted to do before that. They even stated, those girls said they wanted to do stuff and help out, but they went about it here the wrong way, and the Patties too. And now what? These fundraisers, who's getting all that money? The fundraising money, nobody gets to say this money went there or there. The fingers are in the pie, buddy.
Well, I have said that any reward money on this should go to the county.
I called FBI, I called ISP. They know who I am. I have time and date stamp, proximity of them on the phone. I have them on traffic camera. I have them on the businesses from the town.
Well, that's kind of crazy, man. I mean, I'll give that to you. Could you send me a photo of them?
Well, the traffic cameras, you have to go through the law to get that. That's a public record after you go through the town, yeah.
Well, no, I was talking about your photo, the photo that you took of the guy.
My phone records, there's no picture, just my phone records of proximity and that I time and date stamp of when I texted my friend's phone. See, it's not just my phone, it's my friend's phone. They followed my friend who drove that day. I didn't drive that day. My friend picked me up and took me to Port Dover, 25 miles away from where I live. And then the Patties followed me after to see if I'd recognize them and confronted me again in front of my home.
Wow. Yeah, that is different, man.
That's the truth. This is the 100% fact, not told to you by the police.
Yeah. All right,
I came forward after the second news conference. I didn't remember right at first. I got my life to live too. I noticed them in front of there, and then I said, well, okay, I seen them. So later on, I seen them again, news conference, and I said, oh yeah, this happened. I better call. So I did. Still there?
Yeah, I was listening to you.
Yeah. No, well, now you know, buddy.
Well, okay, but now what you have told me is it's all fake, it's all for county money, whereas I'm saying that everything points to Thomas Bruce, but you're saying that that is outright wrong in every way because they're still alive.
Yeah, they're alive in Canada.
And what about their families?
Well, I don't know why they lied and cheated.
Well, no. What I mean is their family still live there in Delphi. Did they send them up there by themselves?
So why all the bullshit? Why all the lies and clam up after? Why aren't they coming forward like they did before now?
Who, the family? Are you talking about the family?
The Patties?
Yeah, well, why would they?
Well, why wouldn't they? What? You're going to clam up?
Clam up? They've been on every talk show ever, sir.
Dang. I got proof they're alive after declared deceased.
Well, you say I got proof, but I'm not seeing that proof. I'm just hearing you talk about it.
Well, you go down to your state trooper and you say, hey, where's the guy's video, or sorry, not video, my phone records and my buddy's phone records of them in proximity of Abby texting on a phone right beside me on the phone after declared deceased. And they're going to be on porked over traffic camera. And the Patties followed me to my home after. They're in Canada.
Well,
visiting those girls.
Sir, look, man, there was a guy that had called me in Greeno, and this goes back like, what was that, a year ago? He was telling us, man, he's like, yeah, man, listen, man. And you know what? I still got that phone record of him when we talked to him. He's all like, yeah, man, my DNA's at the crime scene. I already know that, and I know they're looking for me. You know, well, yeah, we called the cops, man, immediately. We're like, hey, man, we don't know if this guy is real or not. He sounds like a little whacked out on drugs and shit. But hey, so, you know, we told him that. But now
I've seen them, and I have proof. Like, I'm not just calling you because I want to be heard. You go actually now call the police, FBI, and say, hey, there's this guy. And I know they just don't want to tell anybody. And why are they holding it back? I know other cases too. They just lie straight to your face, buddy.
I've said that time and time again, but I don't think that law enforcement is lying about this case. They wouldn't bring the FBI in.
Faith, my friend.
They wouldn't bring the FBI in, the state of Indiana, because really,
okay, I'll put my house up. So they'll exhume those caskets to prove they're not real humans in those caskets. I own my own home. I live in Canada. The Patties followed me to my home.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, buddy, they're alive.
Yes, but again, it was very reminiscent of that guy in Delphi that was whacked out on meth, and, you know, the FBI busted into his house. I mean, like, what if I ask like law enforcement about that, and they're like, oh, dude, man, hey, listen, he's Canada's problem, all right?
I know. See, that's what everybody wants to say. And then because of that, that's the reason they're getting away with the lying bullshit. Yeah, man, that's over here, that's over there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're full of shit, all of them.
Well, I can give you that much. But again, I look at all the money that was expended upon this case by the federal government, the FBI, the state of Indiana, local and surrounding counties.
And who did they chase? Where did they go? What, look around like they always do?
What I'm saying is
than they did on any other case ever.
It's the amount of money that was spent would exceed the amount of money gained.
They never spent dick squad on looking for anybody, buddy, because there's no murder and they know it.
Well, you don't get the FBI out here in the state of Indiana and all the rest out there doing all of that for like no money.
Well, you're going to find out, because I just don't chirp for no reason, my friend. Like, they came here to Canada. The girls were here in Canada. I have proof. Abby was texting on the phone. I have proximity. I have time and date stamp. So, like, I don't know where you can think, but you go ask them and say, hey, this guy actually has actual 100% proof of them alive after being declared dead. What's your statement on that? You go there and ask them. And then you come to me, and I'll get a lawyer to come right there and prove what I'm saying. Because I have 100% proof that I already called and told all your guys this, and all they have to do is go get the phone stamp. That's it.
All right. Okay. But if I may, like, what would I tell them that your name was? How would they know who I was talking about?
You want to know my name? I'll give it to you.
No. No, I don't want you to state your name if you do not want to.
That's my name.
What is it?
I'm calling the Patties out, my friend.
And your name?
That's my name.
What is your name? I'm calling the Patties.
And if you go back and listen, you'll get it. But Yeah, I'm calling the baddies out. The FBI knows my name. The Indiana State Police knows my name. I call them. I'd even call the baddies if I knew their number. I'd call them out right to their face, my friend.
Well, I'd like to see that, but I mean, not in a literal way.
Well, literally, they're lying, cheating fox.
Well, nah, yeah, but hey,
Home,
sir.
Of me and tried to hide the fact of what they're doing.
Listen,
See if
man.
I'd caught on to them, to see if I'd seen them in the news. And I did catch on, but I didn't let them know I did. And I called later. And that's the facts.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, Double Lance wants to get on there.
Yeah, we're biker crew over here, right? It's all biker town. So there's a relation there between them and a couple other little factions of the biker world and a couple little outlets where they're runaways. They deal in runaway.
All right.
Yeah, bikers. So do you want me to go deeper? Like, it's a big thing. It's not just some little story.
No, man. I mean,
that you hear what you want to hear.
Now, hey, now, man. Okay, once again, don't tell me what it is I do. Don't tell me what I do. I know what I do.
Right.
You don't.
You're popping out all these other bullshit that the police is telling you, and you're believing it, and you're making other people believe it. I'm coming here and telling you the truth.
Double Lance, call me. The phone's wide open. Yeah, I just don't want people like, oh, you for doing this and you're putting up. Nah, you don't know what I'm doing. He has no clue what I'm doing. Nobody knows what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Oh, Jesus H. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you're on. What do you mean, what are we talking about? Well, you called. I mean, like, did you have like something that you wanted to state? You know.
And I'll continue.
So you want me to talk and then you just hop in?
Well, I mean, listen, man, I just wanted to lead off where your last thought was because that guy kind of cut you off, and I don't know where to start.
Well, he didn't so much cut me off. I just thought he was a little out there, man.
Yeah, it was totally out there.
So you didn't have anything that you wanted to state, no question. You just wanted to talk, man?
Well, no. I mean, we can talk about the same thing. I mean, what question should I ask? I guess is I feel like a douche now. I'm holding up the phone.
Well, no, it ain't like that. Well, I thought, I mean, when the guy called the family dad, I mean, I did not care for that, nor him telling me what it is I do. I thought that he sounded a little schizophrenic, because, I mean, like, who in the hell is going to believe that shit? Oh, you can call the FBI. I'm like, dude, I don't want to be on that list you're on, okay? I don't want on that side of the law, pal.
Yeah,
it's bad enough they don't like me now.
Enjoy that. He's gonna live that rogue life of being an FBI agent. Calling the FBI. Well, I mean, he's not an agent, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, he's just gonna be an independent FBI guy, and he's gonna sit there and tell you what's going on. You're the one running the podcast here.
Well, did he say he was FBI?
I don't know what he said. I mean, we should. It'd be funny if the guy started calling back on the phone right now, and all of a sudden it started ringing.
Hey, you know what, man? It would be cool, man, if he called in every week, man, because I'd get a hoot out of that. No, I would, man. I'm like, hey, it's the Ontario guy calling. Hang on a minute. Let's see what he's wacky ass has to say this week.
One of the 13 provinces has plenty of knowledge on Indiana and stuff like that.
So you're from Indiana, yes?
Well, yeah, exactly.
I seen it was 765 number.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm from the Indianapolis area. I'm like about 30 minutes southeast. Moved there. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I was in the Army down there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, it was a good time. I mean, back in the day, but, northeast side, man, you got to be watchful there.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, but what are you going to do? I mean, it's just the way it is. Well, I mean, in regards to this conversation, I mean, I don't know, seeing the chat about conspiracy theories, I mean, because this podcast is only about the time of this Bruce thing, or are we going deep into anything?
Well, that's kind of where I keep it, but it's only because he's my primary suspect. I don't see anybody else that fits the criteria to the manner that he does. I mean, I can go right down through all the criteria and say, yeah, he fits every bit of it. Every piece, every scrap of it, he fits. So much so that I have said, yes, now I do believe at 100% that Evansdale and Delphi was committed by him.
Right.
Now, going back so many months ago, I put that at 98% because I couldn't see his face in the video. But that's been passed by now, because with the route and looking into it, his jobs, everything fell into place just so deep and wide that I was like, yeah, no doubt in my mind. And he totally did it. He's that dude.
Right. I mean, what do you think about the R&P articles and stuff mentioning about it?
The what?
Oh, the Riverfront Times. I mean, have you ever seen any of that? Maybe the Fox stuff. It's just.
No.
I don't know. There's a lot of articles about it. It's just this one guy. It's kind of a. I mean, once again. I mean, I heard another guy said something similar, but something about not knowing really a lot. I mean, again, I'm tuning in. And it's interesting to listen to, but I'm not at your level.
Yeah, you know what? With that, and I tell everybody the same thing, man, that right now in February it'll be 3 years. 3 years that I have spent looking into this case. And that is why I know the case. And anyone else that was following every detail, every evidence, everything on that case would know what I know.
Right.
But I have more time to do that than other people. I mean, I have a wide variety of time through the day where I could dedicate to that. In fact, I do more looking than what I do actually making videos. And that's why when I get on here and I'm doing a live video, I feel like I'm just repeating the same thing I did for months. And that's kind of, I mean, it feels bad to me, like I'm just sitting here repeating shit that I've said a million times. Well, nobody out there wants to hear me repeat myself 1,000 times. They get it. But now with these other two murders that I can look at, that draws them in, because then I can make comparisons. And the more you know about how a person's MO fits and what they do, the more that you realize that these same aspects were likely done in the others. You see where I'm at?
Yeah, I mean, you're almost like a criminal anthropologist or something. Just kind of look into things and not necessarily taking at face value very much. You go really deep into them, I suppose, right?
Yeah, well, you want to make sure that you have something that you can literally look at and say, yes, this fits. Because if it don't, right, or you heard it from somebody, it's really like third level, like rumor. May have some truth to it. It may be total bullcrap, but when you're looking at things like, especially rape and murder, and the manner of death, because the manner of death wasn't given in Evansdale because they were found way after the fact, 6-7 months later. But Delphi, okay, well, they found the bodies and they know the manner of death, but that ain't released because they're minors. But the other two, like Mary Pryor and Ann Pates, then they speak of how they died. Well, if it's the same individual, which I believe that it is, then likely those same aspects occurred from those as did the others.
Right.
You see where I'm at? And that's
Yeah,
where
I do.
and that's where I can look at it and say, well, there is a direct comparison that I can look at and say, well, this was the manner in which he did the rest. That would make it more likely that this was done in the others.
So then I guess I guess all I have to ask, are you getting that information from primary sources that are basically the investigators, the detectives of the case, or are you getting it from somewhere like you can just find it like on Fox? If you just Google the name Thomas Bruce, and you'll find, you know, a bunch of websites pop up that there may not, you know,
No.
they're arguable, right? So,
I don't do that. I go by like law enforcement or legal documents, things stated by law enforcement in that manner, but not like if somebody said it on Facebook or some other social media outlet, man, I'm just like, yeah, you know what? Hey, maybe they know, maybe they looked into it, but if they did, they would give that in that, and they wouldn't just be stating it like that. See where I'm at?
right. That's as good as a tabloid or just a rumor or something. I mean,
Precisely.
We really don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, man, it sounds like you kind of have your strings in tune here, and you're doing things right. So, I mean, in any case, I guess you could continue what you're doing, and I mean, listen, I mean, one might argue just constantly doing this and looking into these things, it wouldn't necessarily. It's like, you know, the thing where you're a doctor or nurse studying something, you feel like you're getting it yourself. I'm not saying you would. I'm just saying someone would just feel, I don't know how to say this without getting hung up on. They just almost feel like they're going, like, do you ever get, like, it feels like it's just rubbing off on you? Like, obviously your answer gut instinct would be no, but it's like, does it ever feel like these things are just, they just get to you because it's just like so much time you're just looking at it? Because I always wonder stuff like that with the detectives and stuff. Like, if they're looking at all these murder cases, how do they even sleep at night?
Yeah, you know what? Not really. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I've kind of kept it specifically to what I feel that Thomas Bruce did. So I'm not really looking into a great deal of murders. I'm not like on scene, you know, where I got to like deal with what happened, you know, nor do I really like, you know, would ever want that. Because you're right, man. Those people, I mean, like a homicide detective that has to go in and look at that, man, dude. You know what? That seemed like it would be life drowning, man. That you'd have to face that every day. That, man, there's some sickos out there. We live in a bad world, you know, and they do some really unrighteous shit to people. But like with this, look, man, you know, I never seen those girls, and if it was that I ever had, I would probably be the person over there like demanding death for him, you know, because it's like, who would want to hurt a child? Who would want to hurt like an old person? You know, who would have that in their soul to go commit that? And that's the evilness of it. Now,
honestly, it sounds crazy. It's just it's either somebody who's had they've had to have some form of training that is obviously wrong. And I mean, some would argue parental. Sometimes you can see it in like ex-police, ex-military, just crazy. Sometimes people just totally lose it. They just totally snap, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's an objective reality. That's obviously an outlier, but.
No, you know what? No, but not really. Not really. Because, I mean, if you look at criminal behavior, in most cases, not all, but in most cases, it's a learned pattern that they got when they was a child through puberty. I mean, I'll put it to you like this. If you take a sane individual, somebody that's upstairs, man, that has it okay, man, you know, they're going, and they go out to war. All right, you know what? They might have to kill somebody. They're at a distance. They're probably not right up close, personal, pop them in the head, right? But they have to kill others, and that can really get to people, PTSD, so forth. But I think that, like, to come back and then have, like, hurting things that are helpless and brutalizing them, you know, it don't fit with, like, that same manner. that same mental area where you would find in like a veteran who faced war. You know, if you look at like World War II, well, we didn't get a bunch of people coming back that were serial killers. You see where I'm at?
Right. Well, I mean, again, I mean, and there's an argument to that where it could be in that time of being forced into it. A lot of times, a lot of these people, if they made it out, it was a sense of just gratitude and being humble. And nowadays, I mean, people volunteer themselves into it. And again, like you said, the learned pattern thing, even if they had some crappy scenario that led them into the military, if they get trained from that crappy way of thinking into potentially being a trained killer, and let's pretend like maybe they're even talented at it, like the trade. I mean, they go out there and try coming back and going to Stop and Shop or a supermarket or something and expecting anything to be, you know, it's not even just being as action packed. How about just even replicating that at all, like remotely? But going back to the point, I mean, anything like that, if you're a killer, again, it's like, what could replicate if that was the ultimate, you know, climax high, what would feel better than killing somebody? I mean, the idea of doing that as a job or a career and constantly having to focus on it, I mean, shit, I mean, to me, it would put me under. I mean, there would be some nights I would not be able to sleep, especially if I wasn't able to get to the bottom of something, you know?
Yeah. Well, he was in the Navy, and he was on the Kitty Hawk when he was like, you know, out. I don't think that, I mean, he was never like on land serving with like an M16. You see where I'm at? I don't think that in any wartime that he was at like where he had to go fight. I think that he was like on board a ship or the like. I mean, I can't swear that, but I don't think they normally send like individuals from the Navy in to go fight. You see where I'm at? I could be wrong, man. Maybe they do. I wasn't in the Navy.
No. I honestly, I'll be honest with you. I didn't even understand the full context. So in that regard, I mean, I was almost just making an inference. But yeah, I guess because it actually does have a direct correlation, and it's actually going against my point. In this case, yeah, that really wouldn't be necessarily a reason. But you know, you never know. I mean, it's not necessarily that, you know, but just whatever the wiring is in the brain is clearly not the same as someone who's the 99 out of 100 who's not going to choose to do that. As an example, I mean, even if you, as an example, were a 1 out of 100 guy who was doing this kind of work, looking at this stuff, you're not the 1 out of 100 guy to do that, right? I mean, so it's just like, what kind of mindset does it take? I don't know. It's just a different way of thinking.
Yeah, and you know, again, because I don't know his parentage, but I would suspect that there may be something within the family. Because it just seems like to brutally rape somebody that's helpless and brutalize them like that and do some very unkindly, unrighteous things to them during the commission of that crime, that seems like a learned behavior. It doesn't seem...
Exactly. Like, and then you got to think of the ways that you could learn. Let's say you learn by hearing or smelling something or touching something, or then in this case, maybe even seeing something or feeling something.
Yeah.
I mean, how would you realistically, how would you associate pleasure from that point on? I mean, if it's always with something that's really horrifying like that,
yeah,
that's just a decent reason.
Well, you know, I mean, it seems to me, because, and again, man, I mean, I go back to the point that everybody that knew him, I mean, his friends, his neighbors, you know, everybody that was around him was talking about he was such a great guy, really friendly guy, just a super individual. But to the flip side of that, we know that he isn't. We know that after drinking an opportunity, he can turn into a real devil, a monster, a demon, you know? So there's a flip side there, like a multi-personality disorder. And I think that was probably caused.
sorry to cut you off. Does the guy have any priors though with alcohol?
0.
Wow, interesting.
He had never been arrested. That's what I'm saying. He had no DNA or fingerprints in the database.
Well, that beats me then. I mean, the guy, was there some ulterior motive? Excuse me, I can't speak. Is there some motive that something like, some cases where, the husband gets mad at the wife gets caught cheating and he kills her and the other guy, I mean, is it one of those kind of deals or something? I mean, what's going on?
I can't say. I mean, I really can't. I mean, like if I tried to give a motive, the best I can do is say that it's a sexual motive. It's about the power that he gets. Now, if you look into criminal behavior of like sexual predators, people that like forcefully rape and murder like that, they always say that power that they get from that is to cover for a lack of power that they have in real life. So I don't know where that would pertain. I don't know what that lack of power would be.
I mean, not to make a joke or do an uncensored thing here, but I mean, it's just a small package. That's what it is. It's that kind of person. It really is. It's somebody who's compensating. And to be honest with you, I think a guy like that is a jerk.
Yeah, he's worse than that.
I mean, well, that's I think that's modest.
I got you.
But geez, oh man, I must be making stale air right now, huh?
No, you're fine, dude. You're better than the last caller.
Well, I mean, the last caller was from Ontario.
Well, hey, I take nothing from Canada. I love that nation.
I love Canada too. I went there. It's great. There's nothing wrong with Canada. In fact, my last stamp on my passport is from Ontario. It's fine.
Oh, really?
Canada. There isn't. I mean, take that guy and put it over Ontario. I mean, that's hilarious. Can you imagine that?
No.
Can you imagine if you showed up in Ontario at Niagara Falls on the Canadian side and the American side, and every single person just had that personality? You would just laugh. I mean, that would be something to film. It would be like, I mean, more like you're in French. Some shit like that. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, I'll let that devil guy jump on in a minute because, some really mega stale air. But
no, it ain't like that. Actually, man, enjoyed your phone call. I thought you was a little out there at first because it showed up like that. I thought, man, it's that guy calling about pizza again.
No.
Tell me marijuana's wrong.
No, dude. In fact, here, can I have like 2 or 3 minutes on that topic actually? Because I know it has nothing to do with this, but I saw something about that. Can I talk about that?
Please go ahead.
So, absolute pro advocate. There's nothing wrong with it. And, I think what's funny about it is nobody wants to make the example because of the difference that's clear in the feeling of alcohol. But the legality is real. People don't understand. In every single state in America, you can buy alcohol, poison yourself, and die. That's simple.
Yep.
Very fact. I can't go to a store, any legal state in America where pot's legal, buy weed, smoke it, and die. Doesn't matter how much I smoke. By the way, when we're talking about short-term effects, now when we talk about long-term effects, alcohol is proven to kill your liver, it's proven to kill your stomach, your esophagus, it's proven to give you cancer in the pancreas. So there's no reason to drink alcohol. Alcohol is a fun social drug. Marijuana is as well. They want to even call it marijuana when it's really cannabis. It's cannabis sativa, and cannabis indica is a different version. It's the exact same plant. It's a different feeling, but the same idea. Doesn't get you hungover, which people don't also want to mention.
Right.
I don't think you should be driving right after you get stoned necessarily.
No, dude, I can tell you right now, man, I've been there. I've been at a person's house before, and I'm like, dude, I can't drive home.
Stoners, I don't think any stoners are advocating for that. And I think this is a weird thing where people really just want it to be legal. So we can solve the problem of people getting high and driving, because right now we have no idea when it's illegal. At least if it was legal, we would have legal tests and we'd be able to test people. So right or wrong, I mean, that's part of it. Number two, I don't think kids should be getting access to it, because I remember when I was in high school, it was easier to get weed than it was to get alcohol. Why? Because weed was sellable from dealers and viable from dealers to kids.
Yep.
In fact, kids were selling it in school. So
yep.
What difference would it make if I had to steal it from my parents? I can't put water in my weed thing like I can in my bottle of alcohol. So how am I going to hide it? You can't. You know what I'm saying? So let me roll back to the point. One more minute on it. Cannabis should be legal everywhere, but I think every drug should be decriminalized after that. I don't think anybody should be getting arrested and getting put to jail for possession of anything because they chose to put anything in their body. So be it. If I want to poison myself with anything I want, good fucking luck to me. I don't care about anyone else. And quite frankly, it's already my own decision. And cannabis has been proven to not be something that's poisonous like alcohol. So really, it's not necessarily good for you to inhale burnt cannabis. But what are we going to do? If people are going to do it, at least tax it. They don't want to do that. You know why? Because if you let these guys do these big drug rings like a mob, these fucking stupid police departments with their small little economies come in. They bust a guy who's got $100K in cash stashed in a big ass fucking thing of weed, and what do? They take it all. They take all the cash, and here's 100, here's 100. So everybody's getting paid, and then they get these big bulk lump sums in cash. Nobody knows it's under the table. There's no taxes. So you understand what I'm saying? It's a whole game, and I'm young. I know all this shit. It's the way it is. It's a game. They're fucking us. And by the way, in Massachusetts, where it just became legal, you try to buy pot, it's like 4 times the price of what it is in Colorado on average. Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that?
Taxes and money.
And they know people in Massachusetts who already pay insane taxes can afford it. I mean, come on. That's insane. No, it's so ridiculous. Anyway, legalize cannabis everywhere, all 50 states.
I'm with you, and I've been on that since the 1970s. But I take your your side there, because I am more of a common law person. And it works like this: if I'm in my house and I want to inject battery acid into me, stop me. Look, I'm my own king. Nobody's going to tell me what I can and can't put in my body. If I choose to put it in my body, so be it. If I don't hurt anybody while doing that, what harm have I done? None. Who have I hurt? Me? Fine. I hurt myself. You're going to throw me in prison for that? Hey, got one for you. It's a middle knuckle. No, and I agree. There are some things that I would never touch, in that manner. But hey, say somebody's out there and they're like, "Hey, dude, I'm going to go shoot up heroin." Knock yourself out. Go do that if that's what you feel like. But I'm not
trying to cut you off. I'm just a ramble guy. Honestly, I hear exactly what you're saying, and this is exactly what I think. We already help people when they get sick. Let's say someone overdoses. We help them. We give them Narcan. They're revived. What do? We arrest them afterwards and throw them in a cage.
Yeah.
Throw them in jail. I mean, to what end? We take away their ability to have a Second Amendment, to have a job.
Their money, bank account, vehicle, anything that they want. I'm quoting Sergeant Stadenko when I say bigger the bust, the bigger the boost. You know what I mean? Right. They pocket the money. It's all about being in the Blue Boy gang. That's all it amounts to.
Right. 100%. And it's nothing against police. They do their job.
Nah, you see, I'm to an opposite side of that.
Laws.
I say that if any cop arrests someone for a victimless crime, that is an act of treason.
Listen, I don't disagree, but I just think that they're following their job.
Yes, but their job is criminal, is my point.
I agree. But they're, by law, it's not. So there's, in a lot of places, so it's just so stupid.
And that's a
You know what
fact.
else is dumb? Well, just give me a second. Hold on 1 minute.
All right, well.
No. Last thing. You see in some states it's medical, and you see in some states it's not decriminalized and it's not legal, but it's medical. Why does the state give you the right to buy it from them in cash, but you can't actually get it from a store?
Right.
You have to have certain ailments. Why do I have? And then why do people have to lie and say that they have big PTSD that's caused by all this major anxiety and they can't? It's nonsense. I don't want to take away from all the people who really do.
Right.
Not me, someone that would. And in that case, it's just ridiculous. Why would someone have to do that to actually bypass the system? And then inevitably, the state will allow you to do it, but then you can't have guns because you go to buy a gun. Now it's on a question 11E of the ATF form. So,
well, that is the reason, because where it's medical, then you have to, when you apply for that medical, you have to go to them, just like Big Pharma. You got to go to them to buy it so that they're making the money. But hey, you're on this like narcotic, so you got to sign away your Second Amendment. Oh,
Yeah,
well,
right.
there, man. Here's two middle knuckles, man. Who do you think you are?
right.
Yeah.
And then you can buy the weed from us. It's okay. And
Yeah.
you can pay us
We got the good weed.
$30 an ounce for this fucking plant. It's just insanity. Why can't I go buy a handle of Tito's for $30 to kill myself tonight, but I can't go buy some pot?
Yeah. I'm with you.
Disagreeing with me. Does anyone in the chat? Hey, everyone in the chat, if you agree with me, put a Y. Just like Y for yes. Like I want to see every single name in this chat say yes, because guess what? I'm fucking right now. Who gives? And this whole Thomas Bruce thing, back on it. Like I'll let it go to that other guy.
Okay.
I'm sorry about the name. Hold on, I'll scroll up and say what's his name.
Devil
What's
Ants?
his name? Devlands. Yeah. All right. Hold on.
Yeah, see, you just got a bunch of Y's there, man.
All right, man. That's all I needed.
All right, peace.
My little ego. That's my little ego stroke. All right.
All right, later on, dude.
All right, later, man. My name is Hank, by the way.
Hank?
Yeah.
It was nice hearing from you, Hank.
All right, man. You too.
Night.
Take it easy.
All right, man. That was Hank, and he was calling about marijuana, for one, but another was about the crime. Like good callers, man. Devil Ants, if you want to call, do it. It's after 8. Let's get a good phone call happening here. We got 55 people, and they're probably wondering why we deviated off the crime. But I do it all the time. Every single time I do. Give him 3 minutes. Okay, I got 3 minutes to kill. All right, so you know what? Let's take this back to the crime. Now, somebody had stated way up there, man. I seen it, but I didn't put it up right there. But somebody had stated on the Facebook post, because I put that picture of that thing where it looked like it was in his pants leg right there. Hello. I can.
I got my brother here with me. He's got, a couple of questions he may ask.
Okay.
He don't care to be on YouTube either.
All right.
But we got a couple of questions we want to shoot by you here, Mike. One, did you get a chance to look at the shoulders on BG on that blown up pic?
You know what? Give me a second real quick, and let me pull that up for you, all right? because I got this frame by frame, and I know we got that delay, but you're probably talking about this right up in here, I would believe, correct?
Give me a second. It'll come up on my screen. There's a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that is the one where it looks like he's got the thing on his leg there. But if that's what you're calling the backpack, I think that is probably the back part of his hoodie hanging out right there. It may not be, but
well, to me, it looks like it's a handle coming up over his shoulder on each side. Now, it could be his hood. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's like I was saying about like that being in his pants. If he had a backpack, that would.
Well, I was thinking portable tree stand.
Well, yeah, but why would he want a portable tree stand?
Well, that brings up what I was going to discuss with you. Do you think that there's a possibility he could have been out there scouting on that trail for a victim? You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean by scouting? Like setting up a tree stand to look around?
Yes, up there hiding.
Well, now you see,
we don't know how long this guy had been doing this. He could have been coming through that area multiple times.
Well, I mean, I agree with you, but there is a tree stand right there that he could have used if that's what he preferred. But now remember that the lady that was walking her dog seen him. She didn't see him with a backpack or anything on. And neither did flannel shirt guy when he was leaving. Did what?
She was asked if he was carrying anything like that.
Now, I don't know whether she would have asked because, I mean, like law enforcement never said anything more than what like she had stated about him. But they didn't even say she. Now, he messed up one time and said she said, and that's how we knew off the go that it was a lady. But the rest came out after that, as to who it was. But like if you look at the sketch and anything about him, I mean, they never mentioned a backpack.
Well, another thing was I know you got a chance to look at the right inner thigh because we talked about that on the email.
It's on right now.
Excuse me?
I got it up right now on my show. I got that photo up. Let me make sure that's. Oh shit! I'm sorry, everybody. I didn't even have that on. Okay, there we are. My bad.
Okay. My brother's got a quick question he wants to ask you.
Okay.
Oh, well. Hi, how you doing?
Pretty good, you?
Good. Well, I was a little perturbed. You had the one gentleman talking about military and police mindset and, the 2-second option to kill at any given time. It just really got under my skin because it shows a very narrow-minded view, and it sounds like he's drinking the Kool-Aid of the far left.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I got to agree.
So, it's not like you're going to be walking around with I'm going to choke this guy out and eat his liver.
Right.
That's just not what people are doing. That's not what you're. Yeah, he was just out there.
Yeah, I agree.
So on this guy, what I was thinking was that the things on his shoulders could be where you snap a hood onto a coat, and the collars always stick up on those, so that you can remove or insert the hood back into the coat.
Well. Now, I mean, here's just my take on that. Now, when I'm looking at it, like right here, and I don't know if you can see this in the same time, it's probably a good delay, but like right here, it looks like maybe something is hanging down, but it doesn't look like, see, there's nothing to the outside going over the coat.
Yeah, no shoulder straps.
You see where I'm at? And if there was anything on his back, then you would have that kind of going down the front right here and back up under the arm. I mean, I don't see it, and I really feel that that's probably his hoodie because we know he had a hoodie on under the jacket, and we also know this up here is a flat level hat similar to mine, except mine's like wide right here where that just came straight forward. Now, that's the same clothes that he was wearing when he committed the Catholic supply store sexual assault and homicide down in St. Louis. Identical clothing.
Yeah, he was just out there.
Now, it's the same clothes that he was wearing when he committed the Catholic supply store sexual assault and homicide down in St. Louis. Identical clothing. Now, it's the same clothes that he was wearing when he committed the Catholic supply store sexual assault and homicide down in St. Louis. Identical clothing.
Okay.
That'd be a scarf.
Now you say no, it could be a scarf. I know he's got the fanny pack on. It looks like.
Yeah,
Belly
maybe,
bag,
maybe.
Call it now.
It could be a fanny pack. It could be a holster. I mean, I'm thinking it's one or the other.
Yeah, a little grainy and hard to see.
Yeah.
You're saying that now. You're saying the same guy committed a crime down in St. Louis.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
No, his name's Thomas Bruce. He beats what's going.
Well, if he's already in custody, they should already be able to, cross level that DNA check.
Exactly. Now, this is my take on that. Okay, he's in jail down there for first-degree murder and 16 other felony counts. That's why this trial's going until next October, until it goes to jury. But we can't go talk to him. Not while he's down there on that. His public defender would stop us, same as Daniel Nations did. When they went out there to talk to him, his public defender's like, nope, sorry, you ain't talking that while I'm representing you, not later. And they hit the road. They had to extradite him back to Indiana just to speak to him. But after his court's over down there, then Indiana and Iowa and Michigan, then they can go down and investigate and talk to him. Now, they don't want to file charges until they've talked to him, until they got his side to it, because they could go down there and he could just openly confess. Yeah, I did it. But in that meantime, if they came forward and said, we got his DNA and fingerprints, we know he did it. Well, then the media is going to have a field day. Well, how do you know he was there? What did he say? Well, what car did he have? The only thing that law enforcement could answer to would be their own investigation. All they'd be doing is giving away what it is that they know. Now, what they do know is that the man that they're looking for is behind bars in St. Louis. He can't do anything right now. So all they got to do is shut up, play along, hand out old information like, we think he's 18 to 40, he's from Liz around here, other crap like that, and keep everybody going on that until they can go down and talk to him, then file charges. And that's what will happen. After October of next year, you'll see charges filed on him in at least 3 different states, probably more than that.
Well, that'd be fantastic.
Oh, it'll happen.
Now, people can go visit him as private citizens.
Yeah, in fact, I told him, hell, I'm probably on his visitation list. Man, I sent him a letter not long after he was arrested, man. I'm like, put me on visitation, dude. When you get to Carroll County, make sure I'm on visitation. I want to go in and I want to look at the fear in his eyes, because the whole outside world's going to be there and they're going to be screaming for his death, and he's going to know it.
So, and does the guy have a military background?
Yep, Navy. 12 years,
Well,
I think.
On top of that, if it's at the federal level in Indiana, all they have to do is run it against the federal database for military service, and it'll pop up 100% if it's a match.
They have likely already did that. Now, I know after he was arrested in St. Louis, hang on a second, I'm going to pull this back up. After he was arrested in St. Louis, the FBI was there immediately to get his DNA. Now, I think that was for the reason that when he was arrested down there, it was the first time he had ever been arrested, okay? He had never been arrested in his life. Now, when they ran his fingerprints, they came back as the unknowns from Delphi, because they had entered the unknown fingerprint into a database. In case this guy was ever picked up for anything, you would match right back to him. I think that's how they found out about Delphi. That's why they looked into Delphi. That's why they sent them the list of the clothes he was wearing, just like Bridge Guy. He looks like your sketch. He had never committed a crime before. We think we got your guy. Now, the FBI was there like the following day to get his DNA. And that's how much that the FBI felt that he had committed those crimes. Now, I'm on their side with that, because I know he did. I know Evansville and Delphi, he did. Mary Pryor and Pates, I would say as well. I would say that fits his MO. But the simple fact is, like his neighbor, Dig, after they went down there and got his DNA, they still went to all his friends and family, showed him the Bridge Guy video, the same one that I show on here, identical, and said, does this look like Thomas Bruce to you? Every one of them answered, dude, I can't tell. I can't see his face. It's only a step and a half. I don't know. It might be. It might not be. Well, that's why they released the video, because they knew you couldn't tell who it was. The face isn't discernible, and that's all they cared about. We'll release that, one more word, and then we'll give them a generic sketch that they can follow and believe he looks like this. I know better. And I knew better when they released that information. I was right here to go live right after the briefing, and I called BS on all of it, except for the fact that they finally released the video. That was some big news.
Yeah, they could also be, the possibility he might not have been the only one there, considering it was two girls.
Do what?
I was just saying that there's a possibility, considering that they might have the idea that there might have been another person in the AO, and that's one of the reasons they convoluted a lot of it and pushed it forward that way to keep stuff covered to try to catch a second person. Because you've got two children or two teenagers, makes it a little challenging to control them, even if you do have a firearm.
Yeah, well, you know what? Yes and no. I mean, you're talking about 13 and 14 years old, and you're in a very secluded area. Now, this is a young girl, and if you got a handgun, you say, look, you do as I say, you'll be all right. You'll be fine. If you don't, I'll kill you. They're going to do what you say. Now, I don't like to say it like that because it sounds like I'm trying to repeat what he had said. I don't know what he said. But I can tell you right now that if he didn't have a handgun, then they could have ran. I mean, if it was a knife, I mean, I could say one of them would have, but, they probably wouldn't have left their friend behind. You see where I'm at? It would be hard to control two young girls with a knife. You could if you grabbed one of them, but if they're at a distance, they could certainly probably outrun him through the woods. You see where I'm at?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's why I always felt that he had a handgun, because that puts things into control. Do as I say, you'll be fine. John Kelly had said that as well. And I stand by his words. I think that the guy's a great profiler. I had heard, I never got that from him, but I heard that he profiled Gary Ridgway on the Green River Killer out there in Washington.
Very familiar with that.
So, I mean, the guy's good at what he does, man. And, when I watch his every here and again, and I really stopped watching his Delphi because I just think that he's got too many areas where he's looking at. And I mean, it's like, he's on like video 18 of like, let's break down the evidence. Well, I did that for a year, man. That's what I do. That's exactly what I'm pointing at.
Yeah. Of note, the only thing I was looking at was the possibility of a second person would be if they had planned this as two people had planned this, scouted, identified, and lured those girls in, the difference in their disposition would also allude to a second person. And once something was done, they would go in different directions. You wouldn't see the other guy. They would think they had this all planned out, especially if the guy had military background.
Well, hang on. See, here's the thing. I've heard like numerous people reach me and say, well, there was probably more than one person. Well, the thing is that only one person was seen by two people. Okay. Nobody was with him when those two people seen this guy. Now,
exactly.
Now, thirdly, when the FBI came in and did CSI, they could tell the amount of people that was there at the crime scene. Law enforcement would have followed foot tracks, any manner through that trail of the guy. They would have known how many people was there. Now, when law enforcement came out at the briefing, they said, I want you to keep this in mind, that this word, guys, down the hill, is by the same guy who says down the hill. It's not two people. Now, law enforcement is certain that it's not two people, and so am I. I believe that it was just him, solo. I say Thomas Bruce. People could say otherwise, but I think it was just a solo act of one madman.
Mike?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, can you pull the picture back up?
It's up.
No, it's not.
We're lagging.
Oh, hang on. Let me make sure
It's down on our end.
Can you see it now?
No. Now, yeah, I can see it now.
Okay.
We discussed what was in the his right inner thigh.
Yeah.
And you see how he's got his hands in his pockets.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe he's controlling whatever that is with his hands in his pockets?
I don't think that there's anything there, but now watch. I'm going to go through these kind of slow. All right. I'm going to go to the next one. It still looks like something. All right. It still looks like something taking shape there. But I want to point out that like right here is where the sun is most brilliant. And you see where it is because it makes a really bright, almost faded out white. Now, as it gets a little less, then it turns into a blue. But as soon as there's a shadow, it turns really black. Look right here. That is black as hell under his knee. Now, just in the definition between the light and the shadow in all areas, because the same as this looks like a shape, you could follow that right down his leg to here. Now I'll go to the next photo, and you see it starts to lose its shape there. Then I go to the next one that's blurred out, and then the next one, it's there not so much, but right there it's almost gone. But you see it follows that shadow. Now right there, as his knees coming over toward his left side, now it looks like it's on top of his leg and not on the inside. So I'll take that again to this one, and now it's pretty much gone. You can't see it, but you can still see the shadow to the inside. And that's why I feel it was pixelation. See, like right there, it's gone. But again, right under the knee and in here, it's real black, any of the shadow. And I think it's the mix of the white to the black being pixelated that gives it the look of a shape. Same with the brown item here. Now, when I go forward, it will almost take on a flat look. You see where I'm at? Same with his hair. It looks like a hat in one, like the hoodie's pulled up, and others it looks like hair. It really takes on a shape because of the pixelation difference.
Well, and also I took into consideration is the one where it's showing real good. He is standing on his left leg and relaxing because he's in mid-step, relaxing the right leg, his right, when you can see it real good. Well, that's what I was taking into consideration.
No, and I understand because, like, it certainly does look like something's there. I give that to you. I mean,
it may be the impression. Now, that's my question. If there's nothing there, would it give the impression that that he's either got a real bony leg and he's riding a chicken, or he's got a deformity of some kind?
You have middle age.
Well, I wouldn't really say that. I mean, again, I think it's just a source of the pixelation going from dark to shadow that's making it give that shape. Because in the one I got up there now, it doesn't look like anything's on his leg. Well, if there was something like this big around that was going from his waist to his knee, well, you would clearly be able to see it there.
Yeah, you can see it.
Well, I guess where I was leading to with it is wearing a pair of jeans is just a little bit too big for him.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's because the shape of his body. If you look at Thomas Bruce, he's like a little thicket through the middle, but his legs don't look like they're that big. And you can see that in the pictures in the image, like when he's walking, his legs don't look as big as what his upper body is. It's like his legs just didn't get as fat as he did around the middle.
Do you think that they're going to release any more video, or they're just going to leave it at this, Mike?
You know what? I think that the video that they put out was the only video of him.
Well, I was thinking maybe they'd cut it, because something on, added, additional that they don't want the public to see or know about.
In the video, like when you watch, it's like that final step that he takes. He's putting his right leg over his left, almost like he's turning toward them at that platform. Now, when he walks up, and I don't think it was right there, I think that he led him to the end of the bridge, and that's when he said, guys, down the hill. Because, man, it's every bit of 60 feet from where he's at to the end of the bridge, right there.
But another question, look how he's got his arms positioned, his left and his right. Like on his left,
sidestepping from Trussell.
Well, I understand that, but I'm thinking that maybe he's like you mentioned, a gun in the pouch or something like that he's trying to overcompensate for, trying to keep it hid.
You know what?
He pulls it or whatever on the kids.
I kind of doubt that a little bit, but here's why. I think he came from the south side. I don't think he came from the north side, because if he came from the north side, then they would have all day to leave. They would know that the guy was a threat. He was coming toward them. And why put the phone on video record if you think the guy's just going to say some odd stuff? You see where I'm at? If they felt he was a threat and he was walking 6 minutes across that bridge, they could have been to the second girl's house within 5 minutes. I mean, they could have went down that hill and been gone. So I don't think that he was, I think that he may have actually showed them. And I think he walked up to make sure that nobody had made it down to the water on the 505 trail and then turned around. And I think that that's when they're like, oh, shit. You see where I'm at? And put that phone on video record.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. If they've got the timestamp on the video right there.
They don't.
They can. Oh, it didn't come from the phone? It didn't have a timestamp at all?
It does. Now, I contacted Sheriff Lesenby because I wanted the timestamp on that, because we know that the photo taken of Abby was at 2:07 p.m. So I thought, okay, if I knew the timestamp of this video, then I would know how long after that it had taken. You see where I'm at? So I contacted him and I asked him about it. And he's like, well, I'm going to have to talk to the investigators. Well, hell, man, I gave it like 5 days and I got back a hold of him. I'm like, well, yeah, well, because of Indiana Code 501B405, you know, we don't want to give that information out because it's part of the investigation. Well, he knew that if I knew the timestamp on that, I could tell from what direction he came. Did he come from the north? Did he come from the south? How far behind him was he? Because then you got to take into consideration that at 2:50, he passed flannel shirt guy leaving after the crime. Well, when I showed the video of when I was out there and the time it takes to go from there where he's at to walk to the end of that bridge, down that hill, across the private drive, down the other hill, hit that car path, take it to the right, all the way to Deer Creek, cross to the other side, commit the crime, and then to be back on the 501 trail, leaving at 10 minutes till 3, that cuts a very short time of about 20 to 22 minutes crime time. You see, it was very quick.
Yeah, because you could look at, knowing that, if you know the running direction of the bridge and then the direction of the sun and how the shadow's flying, with a timestamp, you can identify direction right off the bat.
Well, no. I mean, I know exactly where his feet were at right there. I mean, I can go right to the plank, man, and stand there and say this is where he was, because we got the trees that was behind him right there. Now, from this and the tree, we went there and you could stand on that second platform and look straight out, go right back to here and count this right back out to where his feet were. Know exactly where he was standing. Now, another YouTuber had used a shadow to make a determination about the time. He was about an hour off. And I mean, like, mind you, I like his style with using science, but the whole fact of when you're using science, I mean, you know, you want that to be correct. And I think that the facts show that Cheyenne was there pretty much right behind him at that last platform on the right-hand side. That's where she took that photo at 2:49. Flannel shirt guy was at the bridge at the north side at 3 o'clock, said that he seen a couple on the south side, but they weren't young. He was talking about Cheyenne. In the caption that Cheyenne put up there, you could see that it was like 2:49. But the caption that she put was, I was there at 3 o'clock and I didn't see him. So we know that she was at the south side of that bridge at just before 3.
Wow.
You
Well,
see?
you know, it's interesting, Mike. You know, like I pointed out to my brother, we was talking last night, how long this guy, bridge guy, had followed them, trailed them. You know, and how long it, you know, before they finally realized, hey, you know, this guy's up to something, and just, you know, snuck and took the video and the audio of it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just wow.
And how long did you use Snapchat to draw them out?
That's another question. Do you think that this was just him staking it out?
Yes.
Or he staked Snapchat out?
Nope.
And knew that these kids was going to be down there?
No, absolutely not. But I'll tell you why. Because the FBI, the first thing they do is they cover friends and family. Okay. Now, they immediately did a search because that was first thing on everybody's mind, man, that he catfished him online. Well, they looked at that firstly because, and this is the way that I heard it from her sister, Libby's sister. She said, no, they came up with the idea and asked me if I'd give them a ride out there. So I said, yeah, I'll give you a ride, but your dad's going to have to come and pick you up. So she drove him out there. Now, they got there at, I guess the time of that was 1:35, all right? Now, this was maybe a half hour after they came up with the idea of, hey, let's go out to the bridge and hike. Well, he was there since 12 o'clock, that day. So now that was...
I hate to cut you off, but do you know if they put out a psychological profile or anything,
nope.
An estimate on this guy?
Nothing.
Because the reason I'm asking that is I was talking over with my brother, and now, mind you, we got this based on the text that were shown online, the searcher, and the condition that the girls was found. Now, my brother think, we discussed this and seemed to think that there was rage involved because of the condition of the one, and shame on how he had covered it. And discuss shame mixed in, which my brother could probably word it better.
Yeah, the disposition of the one victim with how things were thrown over and covered.
Yeah.
I mean, that shows a lot of, back and forth. I mean, you could go down the rabbit hole to childhood and abuse from mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
But it just shows that there's a lot of shame, hatred, and disgust both with the act and himself. But I'm hoping that they dig into this guy's brain and crack that walnut.
That's why he posed it.
You know what? That will come out. And you know what? I'm not really... Because what I want when this finally unveils next year, I just want my work acknowledged. That's it. It's not reward because the big FBI reward isn't no one going to get that. Nobody's getting that big FBI reward. And I hope that 250,000 goes to each county where those girls were killed. But if my work is acknowledged that, yes, I did put it together. Yes, I did cover this case. I looked through the facts, the circumstances, the criteria. I made a check and I went back through and double checked. And this guy is nailed. Now, if I'm acknowledged for that, so be it. That's good. Because that's 4 years of work, man. That is 4 years of working on this case diligently.
Dedication above and beyond. Well, Mike, there's another thing we wanted to run by you. Is the cops, when they were discussing this with some of the reporters, they had touched on familial DNA.
Yeah.
And was talking about the state of Indiana did the laws in that state of Indiana wasn't where they needed them to be to use it.
No. Wait, that's wrong.
Okay.
Now I say that for this reason. They arrested John D. Miller, okay, for April Tinsley's murder 30 years prior. And they used...
I saw that. The guy with the funny looking teeth.
Yeah, and they got him by using familial DNA. That was the exact method that they used. So I know that in Indiana, they can legally use that. And that's why Delphi, it was stated right after that they was going to use the identical method.
Okay, so that's what he was talking about. I only got a piece of it.
I see.
And didn't get to listen to the whole discussion. Another quick question. We was watching the video recently again of the police conference. The city councilman is sitting there with the bloody knee and everything. I know I'm not throwing any light on him or anything like that, But there's a lot of people online that's saying a lot about him.
Well, yeah, but look, here's the thing. Two people saw the suspect. All right. So if the city council guy is going to be on camera, both of them would say, "Hey, see that guy sitting over there? He's the dude I saw." You see where I'm at?
Yeah.
So yeah, I really ruled that out. And I mean, it's the same where people said that like the one's grandfather did it, you know. Another person said Sheriff Lesenby did it. One guy said I did it, and another person said Greeno did it. It goes around the block. But I can tell you that so the guy wouldn't be standing there on camera, because if he did, he'd be a dumbass and he'd be rightfully arrested quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's like I was discussing with someone, you know, if the guy was local, the lady walking the dog, she would have recognized the Joker off the bat.
Probably.
Now, I had another question I wanted to ask you. Now, I don't know if you said you had spoke to one of these people. Both those people that the witnesses that saw him coming out, are they local yokels or?
Yeah.
Okay, so both of them are for right there in Delphi.
The one guy, flannel shirt guy, I think that he's he has something to do with the trail. It might, I forget what the exact term is, and I don't want to state it and look like an idiot, but I don't know what the exact thing is. Let's call him the trail manager. You know, he goes out there and he's out there quite often. Anytime it's a good time to hike, he's out there and he walks down to the bridge and back. He enjoys it out there. So would I in the same way. So yeah, he's from right up the street from there. I mean, he lives probably at less than a mile from the trails. Now the lady, and I can say this, but you know, without her name, but she lived right there on the south side. Did you see where I had pointed at earlier?
Yes.
Okay, that's where she lived, but she moved. Now, she moved because she had turned him in. She didn't know where the guy was from. She knew that the guy knew where she lived, so she didn't feel comfortable living out there. So she ended up selling their place. Now that he's been arrested, because I'm certain that both of those two people were reached by law enforcement when they got the mugshot and said, "Is this the guy that you saw?" And I'm certain that both of them said, "Yeah, that's him. That's that guy. No doubt about it." So they do know that he's in jail, those two.
You know, I saw where you done the thing on the vehicle with the lady.
Yeah.
Now, do you think law enforcement are on to that? The Jeep Cherokee he was driving?
Oh, well, now again, and allow me to reiterate here for everybody. Now, I did that video concerning the Jeep Cherokee, but there was a mistake made. Now, the person that had got that, man, because she's really good at looking that stuff up, but she did use the wrong county, because he was arrested in St. Louis. He lived in Jefferson County. So she was going through Jefferson County records, but he actually in 2012 lived in St. Louis County. So what we're doing is we're going through St. Louis County, Genesee County, Michigan, and probably even some areas of like Orange and San Diego County in California to find where that vehicle was bought. But we will find it, because that vehicle belonged to Thomas Bruce, man.
Now, are there any toll roads that are in that area
No.
where the girls in Iowa were killed?
Nope.
And they're in around, I guess, anywhere near Delphi?
Nope.
Okay.
None.
Now, as far as Evansville, do you know of?
Now, you know what? Actually, through Indiana, I'm not saying we don't have any toll roads. There might be some up north near Chicago, where it goes into Michigan. But I mean, like through this part of Indiana, there isn't any.
Well, on the two girls, it was out in Evansville, Iowa, ain't it?
Oh, Evansville, yeah. Now that had that was on Interstate 381.
Okay.
Now that might somewhere between St. Louis, where he lived and wherever it was he was going, provided he was going somewhere, and he didn't just go up there to commit that act, because I think that that might be the way that Delphi was done. He showed up in Delphi that day to commit that act on the reverse date of Evansdale. That's how I feel that. That's why he was there. That's why he waited. That's, you know, it was all pre-planned like that. At least what he was wanting to do. The sheer fact that two girls showed up and walked to the south side in due time, call that irony, a twist of fate, whatever, man. Very ironic to say the least, but it occurred. And it occurred, and he wanted it to occur.
Well, the reason I was asking that is, I mean, by chance of catching, you know, a picture at one of the toll booths of the vehicle he was in, you know, and hopefully catching him in the area, you know.
Well, now how that plays is because he would have took the Hoosier Heartland, right? Now, if you took the Hoosier Heartland from St. Louis to Delphi, you have to go through Lafayette. Now, where he went through Lafayette, there's a lot of cameras that would have caught that car, but they didn't know. You see, they wouldn't know that that was his car because there wasn't a car turned in. You see where I'm at? It wasn't until they caught him and knew the type of vehicle that he had, then they could go back through and scan through those and goes, there it is. So I'm positive that now they do have that vehicle, and they have that vehicle on camera, probably in Lafayette and probably even going back into St. Louis.
Okay. One more question we wanted to ask before we get off here. I was going to ask you, do you know if they done shoe cast down there in the area? That way they, you know, they would have known what type of shoes the guy was wearing and had all of that.
I'm positive that they did. Now, I mean, I can state that because it was the FBI that did the CSI. They had the trail, the whole trail. Now, a lot of people had been through that trail after the fact, the search party. So a lot of that was covered up on the trail. But at the crime scene area, let me explain it like this. I know that we got a delay, but you got this big steep ravine. It's kind of like so, where it goes down, and then you got to go back up, but then it goes back down like a hillside where it gets flat. Now down where the crime scene was, when it floods, that's all that turns to water down there. That's how low. Okay. That's how low down it is. So in that area, being that it was a warm day, I'm positive that he left shoe tracks there, and that they would have been cast. Absolutely.
Okay. Now I saw somewhere else. I'm not. I don't know if it was discussed on any of your channels or what, but they had supposedly, the searchers and the law enforcement had fished something out of the creek. Is there any truth to that?
You know what? I doubt that. Now, I say I doubt it for this reason. They crossed the creek, and we know that. We know that he took them down there and crossed them over. Now, when they got to that far side, we don't know what the crime was, but we know that the telephone was remaining there. Okay? So he would have had no reason to go from the crime scene and take any of their belongings and throw them in the river. I think that what they were doing at that time, because I watched that just the other night, as oddly as that is, but I was watching it because they was wading down through the creek. But I would think that they was looking for, like if they had fell in and drowned. I think that was part of what they was looking for, because there was no other place that they was to be. They was supposed to go there, and then the one girl's dad was going to call them, and then they was going to be picked up where they were dropped off. So
the reason I was asking that is one of two directions. I was thinking maybe it was something from him, you know, that belonged to him, or number two, you know, the disposition, the way the dude had described in those texts that we pulled down, you know, the screenshots. Yeah. The way he had described the one girl, you know, what belonged to her, you know, where her belongings was found.
Well, yeah, but that was the same girl whose phone was there.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So, there would be no reason for him, because if I was to say, okay, he went and threw something in the river, well, why would he do that? You know, what? Yeah,
but my question is what I was asking, Mike, the description that the guy had on the text, my question was the stuff laying there with her, or do you know any of this, or was that those texts full?
Well, see, no, I don't know anything about the reality of the text. I read them.
Okay, so you haven't read them.
No, I read them. I even got them screenshotted. But the thing is like, I can't put anything on that as a reality. I don't know whether the guy was saying that to get attention, to draw attention to himself. Like, hey, I found them, and this is how they look, drawing like media attention to himself, which is something that people do. But as far as the reality of what he was talking about, maybe it was real. And, maybe in due time we would see that. But I don't think that there was anything that he wasn't afraid of his like fingerprints being found out. They wasn't on file. He wasn't afraid of his DNA being found out. He already knew it wasn't in no database. He wasn't worried about that. So there wasn't any belongings that they had that he would have threw into the creek. It'd be like, well, if she had a cell phone, well, that would seem like a clear thing to throw in a creek if you're trying to get rid of something.
Exactly.
But if it was clothes or something like that, he had no reason to walk 50 feet over there to throw it into the river, because he was covering them up. He was, it's just one of those things. I don't think that anything was found in the creek, but then again, I can't say that there wasn't. I mean, I wasn't there, nor do I know what law enforcement found aside of the phone and them. But I mean, I don't really know anything further that would be in the creek. Now I've seen them walk in the creek, but there was like 4 men. And they were walking down the creek. Now, I think that was in regards to trying to find him. I don't think it was because some things were thrown in the creek. Because look, I look at it like this too. From where the crime scene is, if he threw like, say they're clothes in the creek, right? Well, within 10 minutes, they're going to float right underneath that bridge. Any hiker could look down and see that. You see what I mean? There would just be no reason to throw anything into the creek, as far as I would suspect.
Mike, do you think that now if there's any merit to that guy's text whatsoever, do you think that the other one, if there was any chance that maybe if they would have continued searching and found them that night, that they could have been able to save the other one?
Yeah, I do. I think that she would have been. Yeah, I mean, if she was found in time, she would have lived. But I look at it like this, man, that she wasn't found, but at the same time, she couldn't respond to a search party. So we know that the search party was out there until midnight, but she couldn't yell. She couldn't holler. She wasn't coherent. You see where I'm at? And that makes me think that her dying the next morning, actually, they said that she still had warmth to her body when they were found at 12 noon the next day, that she had probably died earlier that morning of hypothermia. But the simple fact that she couldn't respond to a search party probably meant more head trauma.
Damn.
Because, see, if her neck was slit, she would have bled out. And again, I don't really want to like talk on that issue, but the simple fact is that if he had did that to her, she would have died that afternoon, probably like within 20 minutes of the crime. She would have bled completely out, and she wouldn't have lived till next morning. But if her neck was cut and he left and she was still alive till the next morning, she could have clearly got up and went and got help. But she couldn't, and that makes me feel that there was head trauma involved with her. The other one, I don't know, but I would speculate, same as Ann Pates, that there was probably a serious neck injury, and I think that was the reason they had a scarf on her at the viewing.
Jesus Christ! I mean, I'm telling you, man, it brings tears to your eyes to know that child suffers like that. Both of them.
Yeah.
And it just, Jesus, man.
Well, you know, and again, because I didn't set out investigating this. You know, I mean, that wasn't my intent at all. I was just following law enforcement off to go and letting people know what law enforcement was saying, what they was finding out. Because I was sitting here, man, waiting. It was like any day they're going to have this guy. Man, they got the FBI over there with the satellite dish back to Quantico. This guy's hit, man. You know, and I'm waiting. It's just like every day. Well, what happened? Well, is he arrested? You know, so it went like that until it just became weeks, turned to months, and then it's like, well, what the hell, man? You know, why isn't there a person? Why can't you find this person? You see? And then I started looking into it. But if it wasn't for St. Louis calling him in, I never even would have heard the name Thomas Bruce. And again, I got that from online. But that's how I told people. I said, by the time you hear of it, someone else would have already turned that in. It just like with Thomas Bruce. Now, I don't think that they can give the money to St. Louis law enforcement. They're law enforcement. That's their job, you see. But I would hope, man, that $250,000 would go to Carroll County, the other $250,000 to Blackhawk County, because even to the families, man. Not that money can return a child, but at the same time, man, there's that loss, man. When you lose a child, and I never have, but my God.
Well, how much is the reward now, Mike?
I think it's $250,000 in both cases.
Okay, so it'd be $500,000.
Yeah,
that's a lot of bread, brother.
Yeah, but again, that's the FBI reward money, man. That comes with the fine print that you got to call in with the information that leads to his arrest. Well, he was already arrested. 2, the information that you give has got to lead to his prosecution and conviction before you ever get that money. Well, when he was arrested, the FBI was there to get his DNA. And by the time that I'd looked into him far enough to say, yeah, that was on December 9th of this year or of last year, I said, yeah, at this point, I can literally say, yeah, he's bridge guy. But I was well behind law enforcement. They already knew. I mean, they knew at that time that he had did it. And they knew the lowdown and every other.
Well, I have a lot of faith in the ISP. And, but that sheriff, I'm 50-50 on him.
You know what? I like Sheriff Lesenby, man. I do. I think he's a good guy.
Well, I mean, yeah, he may be a good guy, but, we'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there isn't anything bad going to come out on Sheriff Lesenby,
Yeah, that's good. Well, Mike, that's about it, I guess. And maybe if, somebody else wants to call in, I'll leave them time to call.
Well, I'm probably going to wrap it up, man. I mean, it's been like 3 hours, and usually if it's 2, I feel I've been on too long. So unless somebody calls in immediately, I'm probably going to wrap it up here, dude.
All right.
Well, I appreciate you calling, man. It's always good to hear from you, man. You make for a good show.
Cool. I enjoy talking to you, brother.
You know what? You got good questions.
Well, thank you, brother.
And, I want to say that, man, because, God, man, hell, for the last year, I've been on that kick that, like, people aren't asking good questions, man. They're asking the run-of-the-mill question. Same thing that people was asking 3 years ago. And it's like, man, we're way past that. But, you get on, and, I mean, you ask, some really good, legitimate questions that people want to know, things that would probably totally escape me, for just sitting here thinking about it. And that's why I like it when you call, man. It kind of really brings it into the facts and the nature of the case.
All right. Well, brother, I appreciate that. And you have a great one.
You too.
One quick question. Are you going to watch the bowl game? Indiana play Tennessee?
What?
The Hoosiers, man, they got a bowl game this year.
Oh, I didn't even know, man.
Yeah, they
no idea.
They were. I reckon they're playing in the Gator Bowl, and they were supposed to play Kentucky, and Tennessee done a bunch of crying, and and ended up using their muscle. So they muscled Kentucky out, and they got to play Indiana.
Yeah, I watched the game last night, man, and we got smoked.
Oh, the Colts?
Yeah, man. Jeez. You know what? Last night I said, well, I can tell you right now, man, we're going to get hammered big time. But you know what? And so that's why I said that makes me feel the Colts will win. because when you don't think they're going to win, they'll go in and play a great game. You think they're going to hand it to the other team, they're going to look like shit and get hammered. It's just, I don't know. It's part of being a Colts fan. That shit ain't easy anymore.
Do you remember when Jeff George was their quarterback back in the day?
I sure do.
I remember we was kids, and our stepdad, lived there in Indiana. And on the Indianapolis Star on the front page, it had a picture of Jeff George, and underneath it said "Cry Baby."
Well, he kind of was, man. I mean, he kind of was. He had a big arm, but I mean, like that was his downfall. And I mean, after we got rid of him, man, we got Harbaugh. And I liked Harbaugh, man. He had a lot of heart, man. He did. He didn't even have an offensive line, man. You could shove his face in the mud, man. He'd get up and go, yeah, let's do that again. I mean, I like that about him. Hell, in 1995, we went to the AFC playoffs. We was in the AFC championship game versus the Steelers. Their wide receiver runs out of bounds, comes back in, and catches the football in the end zone. They're like, touchdown. Pittsburgh wins. Yay. Well, wait a minute. He was out of bounds. Well, there's no instant recall. Have a nice day, Colts. God, man. You know what? I could have did some damage to Pittsburgh because, man, I was super pissed. We had Marshall Faulk, Jim Harbaugh. It was a great game, but we lost. But it was like no instant replay. What do? You go home and cry. Bye.
Well, do you think that they'll be able to build that team ever back up again, Mike?
If we ever get a quarterback. And, I mean, I have nothing bad to say about Brissett. He's a good backup quarterback.
There is some real talent coming out in the draft this year.
But, I mean, I just think that Brissett doesn't have what it takes to lead a team to the Super Bowl. He don't have that kind of talent. And I think that we need to go back to square one and get a good quarterback. I don't think there's any replacing Manning or Luck. We probably won't get one that elite, but we do need a good quarterback. And that's going to be the first step. In fact, this year, that's what I'd be looking for in the draft.
Hopefully we'll get there, Mike. But that game you were talking about?
Yeah.
I was in the Aberdeen Proving Grounds in the Barracks Day Room watching that game. And when that particular play happened, I put a 2-liter through the big screen TV.
No way.
Yep, I got in all kinds of hell over that.
I bet you did, man. I about did the same to my television. I was drinking Mad Dog then, but yeah. Well, I was a wino, man. You know why they call them winos? Because that's the cheapest way to buy alcohol. You buy it in the 20%.
You remember the old song that they used to sing, the winos there in Cincinnati? They'd say, "What's the word? Thunderbird."
Thunderbird.
Twice, 30 twice.
Yep. Thunderbird, Night Train, Mad Dog. No, yeah.
70 cents. But, dude, if they get that quarterback from LSU, man.
Man. Okay. Stop right there, man. All right, last night I'm sitting here because, man, it's like you're up in my head right now. I'm sitting here and I'm like looking over, man, on YouTube, man, like the top quarterbacks in the 2020 draft. Now, he was ranked third, the LSU quarterback. I know his last name starts with a B. Is it like Brooks or something like that?
Yeah.
But anyway, they put him up there, and I thought, you know what? That's right within our reach of where we could pick. And after I watched that game the other night with LSU, I forget who they was playing when LSU won. But he came to my mind, and then he was ranked number 3rd. And I thought last night I said, smart money is we will pick him up in the draft.
That's what they're saying, that Indianapolis is going to end up with him.
That would be cool.
You, they'll be unstoppable if they get that kid.
That would be awesome. I mean, hey, man, we got a great offensive line, man. We could really do stuff. We got good defensive talent. We're set across the board. We need a good quarterback. And, hey, I'd keep Brissett, man, for a backup. I think he's a strong quarterback. I just don't think he's that Super Bowl quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. You need a guy that's going to, or they need a guy that's going to go the whole distance and take them all the way.
Exactly.
That he can play in the big game. And when he's going to be in the playoff, in the college football playoff, he's going to have that big game experience.
Yep.
So that's going to be nothing but pluses.
come back as Peyton Manning.
Hell, man, I'd like to see him come back and coach, man. I think that's where his position should be.
Well, the Harbaugh boys are coaching, so I mean, you know, I don't see why Peyton ain't done it.
Well, man, if you look at Peyton Manning, he was the offensive coordinator on the field. He could call his own plays.
It's awesome.
You know, he would get the play, but he was allowed to change it. He could audible out and do anything to whatever the defense was setting up. He could audible out. I mean, he had that privilege to do that. He could rearrange the play at the scrimmage line. You see, now most others couldn't. I think Tom Brady was given a rare occasion where he could, but Peyton Manning was kind of an offensive coordinator on the field, man. And that's why I think that he would fit as an offensive coordinator or a coach.
But you know, they had to pull all those Coca-Colas that had Brady's name on it. They said they were a little flat.
Is that like Deflation Gate?
Huh?
Is that from Deflation Gate?
Yeah, Deflate Gate. But brother, I'm gonna let you go and let you have a good night, and I'll be looking forward to seeing your next stream, brother.
All right, man. I appreciate you calling as always, man. You have a good night, Double, and good night to your brother as well.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Peace. All right, everybody. I think that is going to wrap it up for me, man. I'm out of here, and I want to thank you, mods. Thank you for helping me. Thanks for all the calls, all the support, man. You all rock, and I will see you in my next video, man. Peace, y'all.